show where you decide what we talk about every day. Neil is here, and so is Sean. He's back. They're both locked and loaded and ready to take the trades and the names that you have selected on the midday show. So make sure to join it with us and have your vote every day in the chat. Yeah, you can see that's the triple Qs right there. Another negative day in tech, in the tech-heavy world, but the ES also a little bit negative as well. And so the IWM, we also saw the Dow sell off a little bit as well after it printed 41,000 points yesterday for the first time. But again, Nvidia, the #1 name as selected by you guys, and there was all sorts of headlines today with semiconductors. TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor, the world's largest foundry, reported today they did much better than expected. Nvidia, one of their biggest customers, but the weakness on the futures and on tech was still palpable as it hung over from yesterday, and it was still down again today, guys. Nvidia, though, faring a bit better than some of the Mag 7 names.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. It's a 1.5%. Oh, we still haven't done for the morning, but Nvidia is the topic right now. 1.5% to the upside. It's at VWAP as the market comes back in here to the low of the day. But it's not yesterday's move, but obviously, the market giving a little bit back when we had that relief rally from the morning. Nvidia, oddly enough, if you went back to what happened yesterday, maybe I shouldn't have been on AMD. We'll get to AMD later. I'm on AMD and Intel. But if I just done what we did yesterday on Nvidia, which actually wasn't the plan, it was basically the same thing. It was the 122 top. You guys were here yesterday. It eventually got to the 117 and then curled. I didn't try it at the open. Well, I didn't get it at the open is a better example. And then we traded AMD instead. Had a couple of scalp trades. This one I'm glad we got out of. I think the timing was bad, and I said it when I got into it at the 120 level. I'm like, I'm getting in because it's $120. Let's get a tight stop on this. And then we did. I took a breakdown at 119 for a scalp trade, but that's pretty much it. This is a key VWAP potential hold. I don't know if it's going to hold VWAP in here. This has been a big level, 119.5. And if Nvidia loses it, I think you can retest that 117. It is essentially an inside day for Nvidia. So top to bottom, to almost top. And the way I see it, I'm kind of looking for the bottoms again at this point. But I like Intel a little bit better for the trade. That's the one I'm in. It lost at 35.50. The chips were looking so good off those lows, but the sellers have been there en masse, it seems. Whenever you get too strong, the sellers beat it right back down.
All right, we still have, so I don't have any Nvidia today. My #1 stock and the #1 stock here is going to be AMD, but I am in SOXL, so we could talk about that maybe right now. There's the short, $52. It's now almost $2 in the money on this trade. I was just saying to Neil, I got to use some sort of fib retracements and stuff because I'm getting out too early all the time. Huge move back in right here for SOXL. I just thought it was a little overextended. I was talking about that on the midday. If you're watching the midday, you'll see me. I'll come in there every once in a while and talk a little bit about my positions. We're also long the Nasdaq right now, and so check those prices out. But yeah, right now, Nvidia, look, I mean, we talked about 1.7. I didn't write it down, but we talked about this. This is the pre-split, post-split area, 117, 118. So once again, it holds again. So absolutely no surprise right there. Congratulations if you're smarter than us because those were great longs. And if you had those, there was no reason to get out at all, except for profit. Like I don't think, if you're long 117, I mean, it only goes down to 116.60s. So 40 cents worth of a hit. I mean, well worth it. Nvidia, what a great name. We're going to be looking to buy something else down here later on if it gets there today or tomorrow. I still like 117, 118. But if the whole semiconductor space can start to bleed, that'd be great. We're in a nice little trade here on SOXL. $2 in the money on a $50 name.
You'll like this next one, Sean. Palantir up, we know, 1.5%, but that's not the good news. The good news is this. Wedbush, Dan Ives and crew liking Palantir, announcing that they're maintaining their outperform rating on it, but boosting the price target to $50 as they announced their bull case. Good look for it today. A little bit off the highs, bit double top in the middle there, guys. What's the look?
I mean, yeah.
Where's the hat? You left it in the car again, didn't you?
The hat's at home. I saw yesterday. It wasn't in the car. We'll just shamelessly plug this shroom company here. Look, I know you. Where did you get that from? When he was here, Yeah. Ramin has on the sweater, the hoodie.
Yeah.
The hoodie.
Ramin gets all the best stuff.
This hoodie's just so much nicer than the hat.
I could use the hoodie. It's cold in here.
That's what I'm saying. What the? We're just hearing some random noises in my ear. Okay, so anyways, we knew we wanted Palantir. Oopsies. Oops, that's fibs. No fibs. We knew that we wanted Palantir long. We just trying to play it off this bottom of 28 bucks. Came into 28.20. Was a good play. I feel like that was the 50 period right there that we were playing off of. We had a bottom wick. Palantir was a great trade. I mean, no idea it was going to do this, obviously, but it did it anyways. Nice move to the upside. Palantir, my PL number 3 today. We tried the long again at that same level, 28.50 before it broke down. Now it's right at this level again. I feel like there is a long coming for Palantir, but that's twice, man. On Tuesday, Palantir was my best trade. We went long right down here at 27.50. We had the very bottom of the day on Palantir that day before it ripped up $2. Today we have it again. We have the very bottom of the day early before once again it rips up almost $2. So we're going to have to start to trust ourselves and trust the process on Palantir because 52-week highs in this kind of a Nasdaq market is unbelievable. This name continues to work. So yeah, I like Palantir and we're going to keep going long on it every single day. I hope you followed some of those trades. I mean, obviously, I hoped it gotten longer or gotten held for a little bit longer, but unfortunately, Palantir came out right there. We were so happy when it went back to 29 bucks. I mean, the market was tanking early, right? I mean, you want to talk about what a difference a day makes here. This is what the Nasdaq was doing, and generally speaking, when the Nasdaq is doing this, Palantir is not going to 52-week highs, but that is what happened. So if you just look back here, look, that's how I trade, right? The Qs is going complete opposite. So yeah, I do, spidey senses get going a little bit when that happens, and we do wind up getting some out. So yeah, good trading on Palantir. Congratulations to anybody that's long.
Yeah, that's all I got to say. I mean, I just got Rivian. I actually got that reference. I don't know if everybody heard what was in our ear. Chill, Daddy. What? Anyways, you know what's up. Daddy chill. You know what's up with that one. I don't know
Daddy
if
chill or chill daddy.
It's Daddy chill. It doesn't matter. Who cares? It's a young people thing. No, but yesterday it was about this time. I feel like almost exactly 24 hours ago, I was saying, oh man, Sean, maybe he gets on a really cool case and it's a heck of a lot of fun and it's like 12 Angry Men because it was at that 27.50 again. You didn't see that level again today. I would have thought it was the way that the morning started and the way that the market went today, I would have thought just go for it a third time. But instead, it just broke out the top. The only thing I'm left with is it's got this little wedge ever since it held 27 even. That's the line in the sand. It's got this like higher low, higher high wedge that it's forming every single day. So maybe just shoot for that every chance that you can get. Just to go over, because Rivian's not going to be on there. I don't even see Tesla on there either. But I just got out of Rivian in front of 17, shorted it in front of the high, and then it just held this $17 level. So Rivian is doing battles with 17 all day long. And I had this short. We took this hit here. We took this hit there, had that short, and again, stopped that one out. So we had shorts good in the morning, then we gave it back, and we're actually down on Rivian, and then shorted it, waited for it to get to the high, and then played it, but not back into VWAP. Like it pressed, consolidated, tried to break out there, just had a trailing stop on it. Rivian trend up with higher lows since the open, so had to jump away from this one, and kind of glad that we did. But let's go on to the next. A little buy now, pay later.
Affirm down more than 3% now, 3 1/5. Even though this headline over here wasn't really a headline, more like just some information coming out. The short float on Affirm has dropped by almost 8%. So about 25 million and a third shares of the float are short. That comes to a cumulative total of a little over 12%. That's after we've seen the stock have a good run up as of late, as we've talked about dropping interest rates possibly in the September meeting. We'll have to wait and see. But tough day for Affirm today, even though the short float dropped.
Well, they probably covered. Like we know there was the Apple news going all the way back into June 12th here. It broke a big channel from the downside, downward channel. It broke here, so you probably had a lot of covering. It's a huge volume candle. Outside of earnings, that's about as big of a volume spike as you're going to get. And then just the other day, it broke again back out of the channel and closed above. So you probably had some covering going into the 200 period moving average. Maybe What I'm looking for in this stock that would actually get me somewhat bullish on it is it's one thing to break out a downward channel like this, but you know what else you have to do? You have to hold above it and to continue to go higher. Like it broke and then came right back underneath. So you got support here, but until it holds like 30 or the 50 period moving average and bounces higher, I still feel like you can short pops in this name, and that was proven at that 34 level. So it's on a retrace today. Maybe there's a flat bottom break here at 31 if the market gets nasty enough on a firm. I'm not convinced it's going bullish. I understand people have been covering shorts, and sometimes that can give it a little bit less upside too. It works in both ways. So it's going to be less explosive to the upside if people are covering shorts, and the overall pattern is not completely broken just yet, although it's making a pretty good try.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really look too much at a firm there. We had looked at Square earlier today. I mean, Square was a good name until obviously it wasn't. Pretty good drop there right off the open for Square. So, yeah, I would still look at a 69 long. It's been really sort of supporting that level. So for me, I'd rather look here Square, a name that I've been likely to trade. It just did bounce up to VWAP, so this is actually a pretty good short in and around 70 if we can catch it. I like Square in this dollar range. We can go buy the bottoms maybe later on today. But I think a short up around 70 makes sense into VWAP. So I like that name, and then I like it a little bit better than PayPal, I feel like, just because it looks different on the daily chart. PayPal right now at the 200 period, looking to break lower. I really like this name down at 58, so we'll see if we can pick something up down there for PayPal.
Oh, hi, it's Randy. Hey, guys. Hey, there he is. So the triple Q's next, guys, as we see down 2/3 of a point. Definitely a lot better than yesterday and off the lows. Fed Goolsbee speaking today, one of many Fed speakers, basically saying he's confident that inflation will hit the golden path, but doesn't really want to tie the committee's hands in case the data changes. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on Fed speakers, but still down 2/3% though, guys. What's a look on the future?
On the future, eh, you say? All right, so we're, again, good trading today for the futures. We waited for it to get all the way back in here once volume started dying down a little bit. That's something that I've been looking at is sort of dying down volume to see when maybe moves can start to go the other way. I was talking with Brankles a little bit about that. Is, wait maybe until volume comes into names early if you're looking for breakouts. But if you're looking for names to sort of die down, potentially once it started to slow a little bit, we were able to find somewhat of a bottom there for the triple Qs. But oh man, I know we're going to talk about the Qs, but that's just the Nasdaq, right? And so we talked about this 20,000 area. We're still below it right now, and now you got VWAP below it as well. So I would still stay short this until we break. It's actually not even that hard of a trade for me. I'm going to stay short and look for shorts until we break higher. Like we have this TQQ bottom, that's fine, but we're out. I only have 10% left. So I think the better play now that I see the way this afternoon is going is going to just try to stay short. I mean, there's a complete rejection, again, on the Nasdaq of VWAP all day. So whether or not you're looking at the Qs or the TQs, I'm just looking at the TQQs. I feel like it's a little easier for many of you to trade just because of buying power and whatnot. So yeah, I like the TQQs. If you're just going to look at the Nasdaq, it's going to be the same thing, right? There is the VWAP holding all day. So I'm going to prefer short now for the futures moving forward the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah, the trend down, it's actually very, very clean. I don't usually see this. I'll see this on stocks sometimes, but on the NQ, you've got the lower highs just converging. Like the first two from the morning are converging with our afternoon lower highs. So if you don't break that, you look short. There's going to be individually strong names that can buck that trend, right? Like I'm not talking about Home Depot has nothing to do with this. There's probably maybe UNH. I have no idea what they're doing. I'm not watching them today, but it's really just about the trend down. So you're looking at tech. I'm looking for weakness. Apple's got a thing going at 225 right now. It's like this little head and shoulders, very tiny head and shoulders, but 225, you got the wick there, blew through it in a big way the second time. So I like that 225. The only thing I'm still short in is going to be Intel. And you know what? We can talk Intel when we talk AMD because that'll be chip related. But unless we break that trend on the Qs, I'm looking short tech names. If you find me something strong, I mean, Tesla just broke VWAP and is at 252. Find me something strong, and I think it can be worth looking for dip buys. But almost everything I'm at looks like a short right now.
Another day and another aggressive sell-off for Nvidia. The beta on this is really picking up over here. Down over 10% yesterday at a point which triggered the short sale restriction mechanism. Today down more, 2 1/3%, while its rival Nvidia almost up equivalent amount, over 2% now for Nvidia. Essentially, this is the headline. Obviously, we've seen weakness in semiconductors. Comments made by Joe Biden a couple of days ago with respect to slapping new tariffs on these microchips. Donald Trump also making comments with respect to Taiwan and some military stuff over there. And so that's had, the chips moving a little bit over here, but AMD really taking it on the chin today, a lot worse than Nvidia.
You know what? Interestingly enough, it's taking it on the chin, but it's like it was nasty yesterday, don't get me wrong. But the percentage is so deceiving today that it's 2.5% to the downside, because remember that you close down here and then by the open, you're already up at 163.50. So you did have like a $4 or $5 gap to the upside that you were filling in, and then you drop again. So in some ways, you can say that AMD had back-to-back $10 down days. You just can't really say that from close to the bottom. Although we still have 2 hours to go, so a lot's going to happen with that. Just for AMD, I had one trade for it, and it was an SSR bounce off the even dollar at 160 bucks. I was like, it's down 10%. I said this in the afternoon, like just get to SSR, and right at the end of the day, it got to short sell restricted, and then played the 160 level, which is pretty much where it closed. Played 160 into VWAP. The only thing I did differently is almost always I'll clear out a VWAP, clear out at VWAP on an SSR bounce because it's a trend down stock. I didn't this time. I left a little bit on board, thinking we get a home run into 163, but I haven't traded since. I put my attention over to Intel and that 35.50 level. So I was short 35.50. Remember yesterday? We flipped long because I wouldn't flip yesterday at that price. And then when it broke trend, I went short. And then once it was underneath VWAP, we were just like, it's breaking down. It's broken the trend line. It's going to the other side. We shorted it. We're scalping it to 35.50, but each time it would make lower highs, we just kept adding to it. And then eventually when it broke 35.50, added on the break at 49. Those are the shares we have now. I actually got some 48s and 49s. We're only with the 48s. I think we can see this low again on Intel. So at the end of the day, the chips are bleeding back for you. But if we break that trend to the upside, I'm jumping out. I'm talking about the Nasdaq and the overall futures. If we break that trend to the upside, I'll be looking for the exits on these chip names. But Intel's the focus for me right now.
All right. AMD.
Awesome.
Probably the best idea on the sticky note today was AMD. And this is real trading. This is one trade. So one trade, like this is why I tell you guys, what stocks are the number one P&L and what stocks are this and that, because everybody's style is going to be completely different. This is now mine. I'm a scalper, but this is still the number one P&L name here today, AMD for all the shows. Like it's just shorting. Neil did well on it. He already told you that. And this is it right there. VWAP early, boom. So that's a short of 161.45. That out is 156. That's $5+ on AMD. So we'll take that. We were just bleeding it out as we came back into 160. So we were taking like $1.50 a buck like it was candy. And then eventually it broke and we were able to hold and get out of our last piece there. We haven't really been into it since, but I really think AMD, again, off the sticky note, I wrote it down there, SSR from yesterday. I thought there was a chance for it to bounce today. And it was just bouncing in the pre-market. Then when the market opened up, then it was flush city. So we definitely nailed that AMD trade. I can't do it any better. So I hope you enjoyed that trade. VWAP, boom. There hasn't been many names that have been back to VWAP. And I actually think I tweeted this out too. I'm not sure if it was this one or another one with Brian Shannon there from Alpha Trends, because like this VWAP trade, you wait for the drop, it comes back up to pop and then drop. So, that's what AMD is going to do for me today. All right, someone said like, what exactly is going on here? Because I'm long the NASDAQ, but short the semis. That seems a little bit weird. And I would agree with that one wholeheartedly. It does seem a little bit weird. But at the same time, the NASDAQ down 0.7%, right? SOX L, which is going to be a derivative, of course, down 2.5%. So this is a little more aggressively to the sell side. I'd rather be short a weaker name. I mean, many times we've talked about that on the show. So we'll take that short plus this hit VWAP, TQQs. We are just playing off that. We only have 10% left. So it's not a huge position either way right now in either one of these names. So, we'll hold on to this. We've got Ryan Fuhuna coming through. I'm going to ask him a couple questions, and then we'll go off of that. So for right now, these are what I'm in, long Qs, short socks, and if we break here, I'm out. So this is 72.50-ish. So let's do that right now. Just so you guys know, my stop on this trade, I'm going to cancel right now, is 71.59. So we just went long here at the bottom of the day with 15 cents worth of risk. That's $1.50 right there. So that's another 10-to-1 banger. We just got to learn to hold more shares. But when you win 10-to-1, you can literally have 10% left and still win. So if I only got one piece out here and all the rest out here, it's a flat trade. So that's another good way of thinking about it. All right. I know before we have Ryan, is there anything you're in right now interesting?
Well, like I said, I'm only I'm just kind of scouting around. As I said, I was trying to find something that if we break this trend, what do I like long if I can find something breaking the trend? And it's not, it hasn't been easy. If the Nasdaq breaks that trend to the upside, there's not many names that I'm in love with. And then my attention came over to GameStop because it just broke $26. GME, we were talking about this is in the lesson of the day. And these day two, like if you have a big upward trend and then you have a big fail on day one, look for some opportunity for it to follow through downside on day two. And that's exactly what happened. But this is a pretty big level. The 26 was pretty darn good for a double bottom here on the 15th. It'd be a gimmicky style trade. What gives me a little bit of pause is what happened right before, like right going into the close yesterday. It was just a massive dump for no reason on GameStop. So I don't think I'm going to go for that long. I know it's a good level, but somebody was just like, I'm going for the exit. Like they were selling, and they just realized we only got a half an hour left. I got to sell some more GameStop shares if some nonsense happens. So I'm going to stay away from that and be looking for some tech names that we can go into. But we got Ryan, I do believe, ready and locked and loaded to go. So we got our guest of the day. Hey, what's up? It's going good. I mean, volatility is here. Right? So yesterday you had 10% down on AMD. Obviously, I mean, Nvidia, China news. Meta was down 6%. Meta goes bottom to top today. I mean, what more can you ask for? Trading opportunities abound. Got to ask you first, how was your day going? I can imagine it would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has been going good. In fact, this entire week has been going good. The rotation here out of some of these chips and tech names into small caps is exactly what I've been waiting for a long time. So definitely living that up. We've had Silo as one of these kind of small cap runners, multiple opportunities this week alone on that, along with some of the tech stuff that you guys are talking about. Been a good one.
Oh, can't complain. A lot of people were into that Silo in our chat. I can tell you that much.
I'm telling you, man. The gunslingers, they go after it. It's moving.
Well, you know what? It's a pretty cool technical break. Can I make an assumption here? When you see something like this, a consolidation breakup, there's a lot of ways that you can play this. Now, I wasn't on this, but this is right at the open at 9:30. And I've got to assume, like, this is something that you're scouting if you're going to trade it, and you've got to be ready to pounce either in the pre-market in a consolidation here, or you're just right in at the open, and that's where your focus is going to be. Like, so for us, like, if we're looking at the Teslas and the AMDs of the world, you're not making this trade, because if you didn't get that first entry, maybe you wanted to fade it, I suppose, but if you didn't get that first entry, you're ready to go all pre-market for this, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, you look in the pre-market, you see these things trade up. You look at what they've done the last couple of sessions. When you break that intraday high, that thing really gets juiced. That's exactly what happened here. Now, I didn't know this thing was going to run up to 440 here, but we actually had a nice move out of the open. And then as it kind of consolidated at the top end of that move, bang, it broke and it went north. I got a trade for you that I'm actually waiting for here, though. And that's the one that you see on the screen. This is IWMs. It's a little bit better than that whole Silo trade. This, to my eye, sure looks like after this pop, we might come back in and test this 212 area. If we do, I think this is a really decent swing long opportunity here. I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on this.
Oh, you're talking about pull back into prior resistance on something that is upward trending. I mean, like, to me, this is one of the most, I'm not a technician or anything like that, But when you look at levels and when you look at support and resistance, it's probably the most simple concept. I use it for channels. Like if a stock is in a channel and breaks the channel, when it retests the bottom of that channel, can it bounce off it? Pretty simple stuff. And IWM, it's playing catch up anyways, and it hasn't even gone to that that high. If you pull up like a monthly chart or like a yearly chart, like it has not broken that all-time high yet. So you still have room to run. So I'm for that. I love that setup in a general sense. On anything I'm bullish on. If I'm bullish on a stock and it does that, I think you got to take it.
Yeah, totally. And I'm with you here. I'm a big fan of keeping all of this trading stuff as simple as possible. I don't think I need to tell you guys that trading can be difficult. So the simpler we keep our process and the simpler we keep the things that we're looking for, chances are the better off we're going to do. I got two more possible things here if you're interested in them.
Oh, are we interested? Of course. The viewers want to know. What do you got for us?
I was just setting you up. That's all. I knew that you were interested. Definitely got CMG here. Want to see what this does when this touches the 200-day. Current price here, 53.05. 200-day there at 52.08. I'm going to give you my ideal setup for this, okay? My ideal setup is we come into that 200-day. We do it on a day where it's looking a little shaky out there. We actually break beneath the 200-day. We get some people saying, oh, man, Chipotle can't get out of its own way here. Let's short it. Let's short it. And then 1 or 2 days later, let's recapture that 200-day, bear trap those folks, and then see if we can go back towards the highs here on Chipotle. To me, I don't think anything's changed here fundamentally. I think that this is a little bit of fatigue after that run up into the split. Now we're coming into a real huge level here. This, to me, is about as simple as it gets. Let's see what it does around that 200-day. I'd be looking for a break and a reclaim.
Oh, when you
Simple as it gets.
the most explosive longs are when you trap shorts. The most explosive shorts are when you trap longs. I mean, you're keeping it really simple. And on top of that, I think there's a lot of people that might want to get into CMG and are looking for a bounce. I can't think of anybody who's ever said this is a stock they're interested in owning and this is a dip where when it bounces off the weekly 200, they will be in it. I don't know. I'm speaking about myself.
I like Chipotle. Ryan, how's it going, my guy?
It's going good, Sean. How are you?
You know, we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good every day around here. Hey, look, I almost had jury duty. I was summoned for jury duty, but did not get chosen yesterday. So I missed the wild day, but we're back here today, and it's been another good one. And I'm with you. I like to keep trading as simple as possible. You want to talk a little bit about Netflix?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So we're going to have Netflix's earnings coming up here tonight. By the way, we're going to be streaming that earnings call on Benzinga. Looking at the chart here, this one is in a really interesting spot, right? We were right on that 50-day. We're actually beneath it now, and we're right above the 100-day on Netflix here. So this report, we end up having a good report and trading up. We're going to recapture that 50-day. That might entice some long trades here. If we sell off here and we break this 100-day, look out. I think we can go to the 200-day, which is at 549 in some pretty quick order. So I'll tell you what, I got no position going into this print. I definitely want to see how it trades. This is absolutely something that I'm going to be looking at in the pre-market tomorrow. We're going to try and identify what levels Netflix might have in play and then see if we can get a trade set up for it.
Yeah, I want to bring everyone's attention here. The expected move is 8%. So if you look at the options move right here, it's 8%. If you come to my screen, with the last move, 9% last quarter. So we probably do get that, and I'm with you on trying to make things as simple as possible. If that does happen and we get 8% on 640, then, let's call it 10% down, $60 puts us into this 580, 560 past area of support. We'll look to pick some up. You watching anything on Netflix these days?
You guys you're not even going to believe me when I tell you this, but I'm one of the few people that still doesn't have a Netflix subscription. I've gotten by borrowing my friends all of this time. And here's the thing. I know they're cracking down on the password sharing. Guys, I got a big problem coming up like next week. I am arguably the biggest Chicago Bear fan you guys have ever had on your show, and they are doing Hard Knock. Oh, that's on HBO. That's on HBO. Okay, yeah, I thought that was going to be on Netflix there. I'm sorry about that. I thought I was going to have to miss that, but I'll be able to find an HBO subscription.
Chicago Bears, huh?
Yeah, go find out.
I'm a Bills fan, so that doesn't bother me one bit.
What
different
Caleb is
conferences, but what do you think about that, Green Bay Packers?
No, I love the fact that the Chicago Bears are in the NFC North. It just gives us easy couple wins every year. I mean, that's the way it's been for a while. So I do want to thank you guys in the Chicago Bears for the past history that you have with Green Bay Packers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers very, very specifically owns, I don't know if he is the current owner of the Chicago Bears.
Maybe a minority owner at least.
But there's something there.
Yeah,
I'm not sure you would know as a fan or if Aaron Rodgers does own the Chicago Bears or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, look, he has his entire career. I'm really glad to have him moved out of Green Bay. We'll see what happens up there in New York. Look, when you're
we
right,
just
you're
have
right.
fun around here.
I can't really talk smack. I can't really say anything. You're right. That team has been beating us for a long time, but I got a sneaking suspicion that's about to change. You might as well take those victory laps while you still can get them.
That's what I'm doing. I like the Bears' chances now, getting younger there, coming through. Okay, so earnings season's been pretty good so far. I mean, there's been some winners and losers. I'm not sure what your opinion is on some of the banks, but when I look at ETF, I will often recommend, I mean, you don't recommend, it's just not, it's what we're trading, but XLF. I mean, this stock right now has had 5 or 6 straight up days right now, Ryan, just keep continuously turning around. But today we get that candle. Plus, we get a little bit of a high wick I'm looking at right here into $44. Generally speaking, when I see this on a daily, maybe this is finally a turnaround. We saw it happen back here in April where we had a beautiful run, then a little bit of an exhaustion candle. I'm wondering if that's what that is right there today. Any opinions right now on maybe a specific bank stock or XLF ETF alone? I know the KRE has been really hot as well with the regionals.
Yeah, so the smaller banks have definitely been outperforming here. For my own trading, I actually really like trading Goldman Sachs because I can get some pretty good alpha when I'm right on it. I don't have any position in the banks right now, just to be clear. Last trade in Goldman Sachs was a move to 500. I was a little bit early on it, didn't quite get it. The XLF chart that you just brought up, a little bit extended from some of those moving averages on that daily chart here. So honestly, I think what I'd like here is maybe a regression back to the mean. Today kind of started that. I'll tell you what, you get a little bit of a regression back to the mean without breaking down or without any bad bank headlines. XLF might be another good potential swing here. For me, the bank trade's been very, very difficult. I have no position now. If I really get a good entry trigger here, I'll take a look at it. But so far, nothing yet.
All right. Good call there. Yeah, I'm pretty light on the banks as well. I got out a long time ago. Very foolishly. I didn't think that this run was going to happen, especially in the environment. But with the rate cuts, we'll see. We'll see how they deal with it. What a change around in the Nasdaq the last couple of days for sure. I did want to talk to you about the call that you sort of made at the beginning of the show with the Russell. So the IWM right here, I mean, we like it, and we sort of just like saying, yeah, pull back into past resistance. Now going to be support. But can we talk about where maybe your strategy would be? We've talked about you're more of a swing trader, you know. So would this be like one of those trades where you're maybe holding it for a certain time period? Or let's just say you're wrong on a trade like this where we come back in and we say, you know what, 210 seems to be an area where we broke out from. Where do you give this trade to if you're wrong? Because honestly, Ryan, a lot of us can sit here and shoot shots as much as we want to. And then when we're right, we're like, oh yeah, we called that. But then when we're wrong, we kind of sweep it under the rug. So I just want to know, like, if we do go long here in and around 210 and you're a swing trader, where would the out be? Would it be back down here around that 198? Or what are you looking at? What would your strategy sort of tell you for those of us that are looking to maybe tail a trade here going long if we get back into that 210 area?
Okay, that's a really good question. And I'm going to give you as much information as I can about this. Number one, most of the longer term or swing holds that I have now are small cap stocks. So I actually already have some pretty decent exposure to small cap land as it is. With that being said, the way that I would structure this trade is a little bit kind of a smaller trade. I'd probably use some options here. I'm basically trying to time something. So in the hypothetical that we just drew, where if it comes back in towards 212, 210, ends up holding that area and gives us an opportunity to take it long, I'm basically looking just for a bounce right there. Short term, we're talking a week, maybe 2 weeks, depending on some of the news flow there. So to answer your question about the stop, it's going to be real tight here. If I'm using options, I can define my risk ahead of time. And if it's low enough because I have exposure in other small cap stocks, I might just kind of let those go. Wouldn't take necessarily a huge position. But if I didn't want to do that, I'd have a very, very tight stop here. If I'm entering at 212, my stop's probably 210. If I'm entering at 210, my stop's probably 209. Again, I'm trying to time a very specific move. If I don't get it, no big deal. I've got other stuff that I'm kind of relying on. So to me, this would kind of just be an ancillary trade or a helpful trade on something that I'm already in and already have exposure to.
Yeah, kind of like a rubber band idea, right?
Yeah.
Like it goes into the level, you want it to snap back up. If it doesn't start working right away, you don't like it at all. Can I make I'm not going to make an assumption. I'm just going to ask you, like, if you have that tight stop off that 212, you now have a defined high as well. As far as profit taking goes, that stop is 1 or 2, but you're swinging. Are you holding it into that 225, or are you just going to let it ride? Either it gets to the high and stops out. Like, what would the approach be? Because with that type of a stop, you have a lot of flexibility as to the timing of how you want to get out of it. If it snaps back halfway, you could take it out in a day or 2, or you could just ride it until it's got to that defined high. What's your approach? I mean, the stop is half the story. Taking profit's the other half.
So that you guys are full of great questions here today. That is another great one. Because I'm playing options here, my profit target can be some of those resistance levels. We'll talk about that here in a sec. But the other thing that's going to go on here is that I have hard and fast rules when it comes to options. If my option position ever goes up by 100%, I'm immediately taking half of it off. I don't care where the price is. I don't care what pretty pictures you drew on the chart. If my trade goes up 100%, I'm taking half of it off. I'm booking those gains. Now it's impossible for me to lose. Now I can do some other creative things with those stops. So maybe I don't have to have it as tight, depending on the length of those options. And if you're holding equity, you're not going to be up 100%. But in any case, when we go up towards that high, I'm definitely looking to take some gains there. Okay. How many times have we seen any of these indices, not just the IWM, set a high, maybe go back up there, oscillate back and forth? Like, I don't need all of that. If we go up to a resistance area, this is a simple game. Buy on support, sell on resistance. If you're going to leave a little bit on in case we pop and really go, I mean, I'm looking at the chart here. I see a high here at 244 as well. So if we have momentum like that, yeah, I want to be in for that, especially if my entry was timed well. I'll probably peel a portion of it off at that resistance level, then hold a small trailer for the rest of it in case we get it.
Perfect answer. I mean, it can't do any better than that. And that's the idea. For everyone that's watching there, that whole playing with house money, you're not going to always get, like in equities, you're not going to get those 100% moves unless you're trading penny stocks. But if you're getting anything that appreciates 100%, you put that house money on, and the ability to hold it is just a big difference. We see way too many people that ask us about this position or that stock that you'll look back and it's like it ran 70, 80, 90% of the money. And it's like, what do I do with it? And it's all the way back to break even. I'm like, what do you do with it? Like, didn't you have a plan when you got into position? So we love hearing that, Ryan. Any other ideas you got to get out here? Before we wrap up?
I got one more, but really quickly on that equity, you're saying you generally don't get 100% on those equities. If you're buying dividend stocks and you're getting paid either quarterly or annually or whatever the dividend structure is, and that stock moves up and then comes back in, well, you already have that dividend money. You might have even reinvested in that dividend money into some of those stocks. So there are instances where even if it does go up and comes all the way back in, you can be okay. Now, the other play that I have here for you is going to be ticker HUM. We're going to take a look at Humana. This is going to be the, look, keep it simple, stupid, right? Here we are. We actually came up off the bottom to this 200-day. And a couple of things happened here. Number one, we filled this first gap on the way back up. Look what's sitting right above it. We got another one here. So I actually expect this. You were just asking me if I'm going to take some profit when we come up to either a former high or a moving average, some type of resistance level. Well, look what happened. We traded right up to that 200-day. Stock backed off a little bit. To me, this seems completely normal. This seems great for Humana if it's going to reload and go higher here. We want it to take a little bit of a break. We've already got the RSI at 68, so it's already a little bit heated. If we take a little bit of a pullback, maybe we can kind of reset that. If we can trade and recapture this 200-day right here over the next several sessions, maybe get 1, 2, 3 closes above it. Look what we have here. We have a potential gap fill from 414 up to 442. You tell me, you want to play that with equity? You want to play that with options? Really up to you. This is one of the setups that I'm looking at. And the great part is that we're getting that first stage here right now, right? We traded up to the 200-day. We don't have an entry trigger yet. We're waiting. We want to see what happens here, but we might get that trigger in the next couple of sessions. Keep HUM on your watch list.
It's Ryan Fuhuna. Thank you so much for joining us today from Benzinga, Director of Customer Success. I like that title. If you come over to my screen right here, I use the Benzinga Pro platform every day. We have it in our ear, and we often reference this live on the show. I like the breaking news feature, and of course, when you go on Details tab right here, it gives you everything you need to know. Short float, floats, different informations, PEs, everything. I really like the platform. This is your 1 minute to shine, Ryan. What do you want to say about Benzinga?
Okay, so first of all, I love that you use it. I love hearing that. I want to hear more of that. One of the things that's really important about what we do here is that we listen to the customer. So if there's something that you really need or is going to make your life easier, tell us. That's how our development pipeline works. We add things based on whatever it is that people want and people are going to use. A good example of that is short interest, right? We saw all that stuff happen with GME back around COVID and AMC and all of that stuff. Users wanted really easy access to short interest, the ability to scan for it. Bang, we put it in the platform. We do the same thing with government trades. I actually have a trade on strictly because someone from Congress who never seems to lose bought it. And I'm up several points on it, and it pays a dividend. So just kind of funny here. We will build whatever it is that you're looking for. Reach out and tell us. That's what separates us from our competition.
If you build it, they may come. That's Ryan Fuhuna from Benzinga. So thank you so much, my friend. We do like the software here as well, and everyone can check the description and link below for more details on that. Ryan, have a great day, and good luck with the IWM. We'll talk about that next time.
Thanks, Ryan.
Take care, boys.
Cha-cha-cha-cha-chow. There he goes. It is Ryan Fuhuna from Benzinga. So, all right, man. We are now we are now $2 now in the money on this SOXL trade. So it's come all the way back down to lower than where we've gotten it out before. So pretty good buy holding there. Diamond hands on this trade. Just always wish we were a little bit taller and a baller. But the thing is that we can't do much about this trade for me because the 200 period. Then a break right there. I thought we have done pretty good getting out here. I am going to be messing with, and we just looked at it right here. This is Humana right here, but I was going to start to mess with some of these Fibonacci's, retracements and so on and so forth, and start to look for different levels coming through. I'm just doing this randomly on Humana.
Leave that one up for just a split second.
Yeah. Whoops.
Oh, wow. No, it doesn't matter.
As if that just happened.
No, but
hold on a second.
It's not a big deal. It's just the point I was going to make is when you do that, if you're going to use fibs, test it out on like all the stocks that you trade that you're watching. Chart from the highs, the lows, and if you're going to get a sense of it, like every time you're looking at or trading something, you're getting data, right? So pull it up, and you never know when you're going to learn something new. You didn't have to do it right there.
No, but yeah, that's the point. Is that I'm trying to figure out how to hold different things, and then just going back to very basic strategies. Like I did before, if you guys were wondering where did the TQs trade go, we did hold that last 10%. I mean, there's going to be 10 outs here, and it broke below the 200, then broke that level right there of 72.50. So before we went on with Ryan, we had talked about this would be our out, 72.50. We set it and forget it. It did trigger. It saved us about 30 cents to the bottom, but you're kind of right back to where we were right now on the Nasdaq. So again, maybe the lows are in for the day. I don't know.
Or the market's still drowning, like.
Yeah.
like everyone was in Toronto the other day.
Oh, man, yeah, that was bad news right there. That Mississauga was disgusting. I saw some tweets or whatever, videos of like different parks and whatnot, or streets. Yuck. Our sewer system is really bad here. So.
They're considering what was it, the drainage tax or something they were talking about?
I don't know, but the thing is, like, a lot of insurances don't cover sewage damage.
No, not at all. That's why I wasn't sympathetic towards like Drake. There's a lot of people whose damage might not be covered. It is a shitty problem to have. No, but like a lot of people might not actually have that coverage. Meanwhile, I mean, he's rich.
Poor Drake.
He'll be fine. Other people are actually probably have to pay. Thankfully. You didn't get any damage, and I did.
Oh yeah, no. Luckily,
but I feel for anybody that did, man. Like that's for real. Like you lose a bunch of valuables in the basement, whatever it might be. The basement might be in for the future. I don't know. We're not there yet on the Nasdaq, but just one thing before I know we have to get back up to the desk in a quick second. We're at that low that we thought we could get to. You broke 35 on Intel, so I'm just trailing it to this prior low, 34.85. And I was scanning for something I liked for dip buys. I didn't come up with much. However, in all of this drop, Rivian's holding on to I'm not going to get a short there. It's holding on to VWAP. So if we press all the way into the lows today and we just keep hanging on to VWAP here, I think I'll look for a Rivian long oddly enough. And if for anyone that was looking at that GameStop, it is still holding the 26. So I suppose it was a good level. I'm just wary of the way it sold off in the afternoon, or like right at 3:30, I think it was. It just, the amount of dumping that came into it, the second 3:30 hit, was kind of nuts. If anything, I might look at this stock exactly at that time, and if I start to see it go, maybe just try it. But we got to pay for shorts, actually.
We talk about keeping things as simple as possible. I mean, here's a SoFi. This is making me nervous when I see this, and it just looks that easy. And then I think about what Ford is doing and think about maybe getting out of some of that Ford. But like SoFi, again, goes from bottom to top. I mean, if you're going long anywhere around here, 630, 640, 650, you hit the 200 period moving average, and then now it's fading out from that $8. So again, just wanted to bring that. We're going to go to our interview here, but I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. SoFi right now failing basically off 8 clean. The last time we got up here, we did have a wick high, and I don't know if that was in the pre-market or not, but of 850. So SoFi right there, 650 bottom. That's 20% move in a week and a half on bank earnings, right? They haven't even reported yet. We'll wait for them to the end. I think it was July 18th or something like that. No, that's today. Hold on a second. Now that I say that
aren't
day.
They one of the ones that's the first?
Yeah, it must be. And hold on,
No, they're the end of the month. They're not the beginning, they're the end of the month. 30th.
Okay, there's a few
I knew it was right at the end or beginning.
It was July 18th. I'm like, that's today. All right, let's go back over now to the desk with Brendan.
All right, we're happy to have Ian Patterson back with us, CEO of Plurilock. We were talking earlier in the week a little bit, Ian, on these continued headlines that we're getting on data breaches, on all kinds of shenanigans that continue to happen in this space. So I want to touch on the space a little bit coming up here in a second, but let's be honest, this has been an absolute amazing couple of weeks here for the stock itself, up more than 100% in a matter of, I mean, you and I were speaking back in June. I think it was around that time. Give us a rundown here. What has transpired? There's been a lot of positive headlines for the company.
Well, I think you're right. It was almost exactly a month ago, actually, that we were talking. I think for us, we've just been focused on the fundamentals, and for us, that means continue to sell security products to our customers who need them. To your point, we can talk about the shenanigans that we're seeing out there in the cyber landscape. But not only have we been focused on that, we've also been telling the world about it. So some of the key announcements that we put out over the last couple of weeks are 2 new additions to the team. Brian Cunningham was an early team member at Palantir, and he was also a National Security Council lawyer, worked in the White House, so we announced him. Also, Joe Sexton, he was on the board of CrowdStrike. Previously, he's currently on the boards of companies like Menlo Security, and he was also president of a company called AppDynamics when they got acquired by Cisco for several $1 billion. So we've been very busy. So that's number one. I think number 2, we've also been announcing major customer contracts. For us, the semiconductor vertical is key for us. I think actually I saw this morning that TSMC raised their revenue guidance based on strong demand for AI chips. And last week we announced a sizable sales contract with a unnamed Nasdaq 100 semiconductor company who are consuming our critical services, so our high-end security services. And so in addition to that, we're also getting the word out. And I think that you're seeing some of the results right there.
So when you look at the space itself, I mean, let's talk a little bit about what has happened in this country. I know you're on the West Coast, out in Vancouver here. Were you one of the, I think it was 400 million I read at one point, to receive the Ticketmaster email that said, sorry, your data may or may not have been breached? And if somebody's watching this right now, I mean, I got that email. So if somebody's watching this right now, maybe talk a little bit about what we can do on a day-to-day basis, even just to, conduct our lives in a little bit more private way at this point.
Well, I really like to say that there are 2 types of people in the world. There are people who know that their data has been breached and people who don't know that their data has been breached. But the reality is that this is just a fact of life. This year alone, over 1 billion records have been breached, and we're only halfway through the year. So it's getting bad out there. I think as individual consumers, there's lots that you can do. Certainly use different passwords everywhere. Use different use password managers so that you can safely use different passwords. Anytime there's a chance to turn on two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, turn those things on. Keep backups of your files and keep your devices patched and up to date. Do those basics, and they are basic, but do those basics well, and you will be light years ahead of your peers. And it goes back to the story of, two hikers in the woods. They come up across a bear. One guy stops to put his running shoes on. First guy says, "You can't possibly outrun the bear, can you?" And the second guy says, "No, of course, I just need to outrun you."
Exactly. Which was almost to the word, not quite, but to the word, the answer that I got from Visa when I called them to say, what the hell is going on? Anyway, from an industry standpoint, you mentioned a couple of significant contracts coming up for the company itself. What are you seeing that companies are doing here to better prepare themselves for, this increase in what we've been seeing?
It's interesting, actually. We service a lot of federal agencies, California state agencies as well, both in the United States and Canada. But in our commercial side of the business, where we're typically doing more on the enterprise side, we're hearing about budget slowdowns and we're hearing about layoffs. Interestingly, not in cybersecurity. We're hearing that these companies are having budget restrictions or they're tapering down. However, they're continuing to spend in cybersecurity, or in some cases, they're actually taking the money from other parts of the business to put into cybersecurity. So it's an interesting phenomenon that we're seeing, and the reasons why are that CEOs of major Fortune 500 companies are terrified. They're literally staying awake at night, fearful that their factories are going to get knocked offline from ransomware, fearful that they may be uninsurable unless they invest in cybersecurity. Otherwise, insurance providers will not take them on. Fearful of the SEC coming and demanding a 48-hour reporting notification on any material cyber event that takes place. These are changes that 5 years ago we didn't have. And so there's a clear awareness that there's a clear and present danger in cybersecurity today. There's a lot of money, and these companies need help. I think that's the other thing. There's 4 million cyber jobs vacant in the industry. That's up from about 1 million cyber jobs vacant a couple of years ago. And so these companies, if you're an older, less exciting, less sexy, manufacturing company, for instance, it's hard for you to attract and retain talent. And so they're forced to turn to partners like Plurilock and others to be able to actually do the work that they need to do in order to stay safe and compliant.
As we said, great couple of weeks here for the stock itself. Give us a rundown of what's to come in the remainder of 2024 for the company.
More of the same. We're focused on fundamentals. We're focused on expanding within the semiconductor field, even more so than we are. This is as a result of good work being done, word getting around, and people coming to us saying, "Can you help us with more?" So that's what we're focused on operationally. Obviously, for us, Q3 has always historically been a big quarter, driven largely by our U.S. federal government business. In fact, Q1, Q2 has actually usually been slower for us. So the fact that we're busy the first half of the year, I think, is setting us up well for second half of the year.
Best of luck in that second half of the year, and what's been a great one to start. Ian Paterson, CEO of Plurilock, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Look at that chart. I mean, we just thank you, Ian, for coming through. We were just talking with a guest about 100% moves in equities. You don't really see that. Traders aren't in those very often.
No, they're not.
10 minutes later, we have a guest on whose stock just went easily that and then some. But you know what the market's doing? It's still continuing back into the downside. Whoops, that's still IWM here. I can just pull over. I was going to type in the Qs. And for some reason, we were just talking about IWM recently. I typed in IWM. No, we're still continuing that downward push into the lows. I was looking for something that would be worth a bid. If we tried to bounce off it, I don't think, like I said, Rivian was really strong. It's not really strong. It was relatively strong. And holding on to VWAP, bye-bye. That does not hold. It was bouncing. Wanted to see if it could do that when we got to the lows. Now it even looks like I should be re-entering a short consolidation underneath VWAP, kind of like what Intel did. If it can't get back above VWAP here, I'll look for a little retrace and then try to get into the short here. So obviously, it's been a pretty heavy day to the downside. Tesla's now at 49. Yeah, I'm going to short this back into
49
VWAP.
what?
249.
Oh.
I have Tesla, Nvidia, Rivian, Intel up right now, and I'm going to keep GME on the side burner in case someone decides to dump the crap out of that at 3:30 again. Oh, and I just got trailed out of Intel, so we'll go over to this one. It must have taken back out. Yeah, it took right back out that previous low. So we're out of Intel. It bounced off the bottom right here. This is the low of the day. Once it tagged that, I put a trail in, and maybe it wants to continue to go to the downside. But I still feel as if, the move that Intel has on the daily, it's holding on pretty decently to this consolidation top with higher lows. So I want to give it some respect for some of the work that it's doing. But Rivian, I want to get it underneath VWAP here. Looks like it's trying to press back up into VWAP. And if we can get that right in here in front of 17, we'll take that shot.
All right, I just put a stop out now for SOXL. I just got to make sure I don't have too many stops out. So just broke through the 50, so we're going to think about getting out right now. It was $2 in the money. Now you're starting to get going a little bit as the futures hit the 50 period, so we do have a new trade alert. I don't know. It's Apple. All right, so let me just... Probably should have searched for better than this, but I'm just looking at something like this. There it is, right? Downside right here. And then if we just go this way, it's so hard to do it when it's, oh gosh, there. Okay, oops, that's the wrong way. We want to go this way. Right here. So you're starting to basically flag out here a little bit. We're going to wait to see if we can break that. I mean, this is going to be a level that we're looking at here, 224.75 or so to get going on that break. So we'll see if we can hold it until it breaks. But right now we're just trying to start something. I was going to give it to 225. I actually think we can do that. We're not in too many shares here, even 225.20. But I don't want to get into something just because, it looks like this. I was sort of looking at Apple as continuously trying to make some lows and then breaking this 200 and then getting back into 223 again. So I feel pretty good about holding this. We don't have a huge position yet for Apple, but something that we're looking at here, we start to make a couple higher highs and lower lows. In this situation, it'd be higher, lower highs.
Matthew was asking in the chat, which 50 do you use? A simple? Yeah, SMA. I didn't want to speak. I said I was 90% sure. I use it doesn't really daily. I use a simple. On a 1 minute chart, it's probably not a big difference. On a daily chart, it'll usually matter simple or exponential. But Sean used the simple moving average, which if you're looking at support and resistance, which one works for you? It's going to make a difference depending on your time frame. I think it's an important thing to watch out for. You want to have some confluence for trades. There was just a question about what's happening to Pfizer. So a lot of things that were part of this rotation rally and been up 4 or 5 days in a row, IWM, has been taking it on the chin, and just a little bit of a pullback day today. You throw in the fact that, Lilly's down for its own reasons, and I think Pfizer's just getting caught in that win. So all these things that were rallying the last few days in this, I guess, you call it like relief rally for some of the beat-up names or rotation rally, whatever name you want to give it, they're starting to pull back. And I think it's healthy. This was up like 7 days in a row. Like, how often is Pfizer even up 7 days in a row? I'm looking at this, which is pretty much almost the entire year, and I'm not eyeballing seven up days in a row. Like, you have a good one here, and then that's probably like a 7th or 8th day, and it pulls back. So I think it's healthy for Pfizer. It's actually finally above the 200-period moving average, which is a great sign. I think if it gets back in here and bounces off 28.5, that would be pretty spicy. But it wouldn't even be that big of a pullback if it did that kind of a move. Let's go to the desk with Adair.
This part of the show brought to you by Benzinga Pro. If you feel lost in the noise of the market, then you need Benzinga Pro. Benzinga Pro cuts through the clutter and gives you the insights you need to make smarter, faster trades. From real-time news to unusual options activity, we'll show you exactly what's moving on the market and why. Don't miss out on your chance to trade like a pro. Visit benzinga.com/pro to start your free trial today.
All right, yeah, make sure you get that.
I like free.
Thank Ryan for coming through again, as he was here earlier today.
Free is key. There's something else that's
free is key, yeah.
Yeah, like a free YouTube show out here where you live trade all day long. That's what it's all about. But look, a couple of things. The market is bouncing a little bit here. So you are getting that play. I said we wanted. I'm now sitting in front of 35 on Intel. Like, we get trailed out, and it's already starting to come down on the market bounce. I feel like 35 could be the lower high that we work off of. Rivian is now making the press into VWAP. If it does a week break of 17 or a week break of VWAP, I think that'll be the place to get more in. So you have this trend to the downside, breaking the uptrend in the stock. This is what I'm looking for here. Darwin CYTK takeover. CYTK, this takeover? I didn't hear that news in my ear, but I was talking, maybe that's why. I see a volume spike on it, but not a lot of continuation volume just yet. So if there is chatter on that, remember, anytime there's rumors about a deal that doesn't have any firm, this is who we're talking to, this is the actual offer, is the board accepting it? You know, it might just put a floor on the stock, but it's not flying around and breaking any highs here. We'll keep an eye on this CYTK. I heard something in my ear, but I didn't catch it.
All right, we'll find out about that. CYTK, okay. I mean, Derek probably, if he sees anything, he'll get us that stat, of course. All right, well, look, I'm only going to give Apple to like this level right here, like 85, 86. I don't even want to, I mean, you know, that's 96. I don't even want to lose 10 more pennies. If we break up to the top side, look, it's not a huge position, but we're short at 63s right now, so here it goes. Again, not going to turn our frown upside down too much. This is the first time we've traded Apple today. Let's get something out if it does pull back into the low 70s. But it looks like we're trying to get hit upside right now as Apple's trying to go more aggressive than the market, it seems like right now. But yeah, still at a nice little high level here. Let's see if we pull back and get long or get filled down here and take some pressure off this position for Apple. What's up, Adara?
Looking to see if there's anything more on this, but what I'm seeing here in this Cytokinetics CYTK, this article circulating here from May 9th, 2024, so older article talking about they're set to pitch their heart drug to physicians. They do have a short float of about 15%. Again, still checking to see if there is any other news on this, but this is what I'm seeing here, just circulation of this May 9th article, 15% short float. This also is not a small cap. We have a market cap of about $6.5 billion for CYTK. Still looking for more information, guys.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some consolidation in pharma, and big deals happen all the time. That wouldn't be a small deal whatsoever. You'd slap a premium on that, you're talking about $8 billion easily. So, you know, there's not that many players that would be involved in a deal that big, but as mentioned, now you're starting to break.
You want to find strong.
You're starting to break trend on the Nasdaq, which is like, okay, we just got into a short, which is about to come out when it breaks 10 cents out, or like actually 13 cents out to be very specific. But what's a strong stock that we can get on over to? I mean, I had some thought, a lot of times at this time of day, yeah, Apple higher lows, it's not above VWAP, but if you limit today to I'm looking long on tech, that's above VWAP, you probably won't find anything. So beggars can't be choosers. If we're going to break this trend, Apple getting through this 225.25 resistance, so 25.25, this getting through that resistance would look like something spicy for long. But I'm not going to give this Rivian much room. If it fails VWAP, gets back underneath, I'll add to it and then just throw the stop in. The stop's already in. Keep the stop in. But Apple looks like it could be a good one here, 225.25, if we're going to hold this break of trend. Rohit asking about TSM. TSM long. I don't know. Like, I like Apple. I don't necessarily have to worry about, like, TSM reported today. That's going to be part of the story for TSM. Now, you had the report, you had some concerns, geopolitical concerns going on with TSM. I just want to keep on Apple. Apple's pretty much right at that level. What is going on with this chart? Ignore VWAP on this chart, as some of yesterday is missing. But TSM, actually, that is looking pretty strong. So you are higher lows and trending up on TSM as well. It would look to me like 171 and change is going to be resistance. Apologies for that chart. Usually my black charts don't fail me when I look up. But Apple just tagged 225 and came right back down. So if you continue to short the pops, I guess they would just be right. It doesn't seem like it wants to break out. Maybe TSM is worth it, and this chart will do me a little bit better than the black chart did. Yeah, this one's absolutely fine. TSM does look pretty strong. I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, they had...
It's at VWAP already.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, some of these names are coming back for sure. All right, so Tesla's failing right now off the 50 period. I said sort of under my breath, and we're short Apple, but we did get taken out. We're just back into it. We could talk about that in a minute. I know Neil just looked at it. I was thinking about taking the long on this break of 251. I actually put the trade out. 251.10s, 251.11s, but then the market kind of started to turn around a little bit right here. So that was making me think twice about this trade. But again, I like it. I think there's a possibility here for a nice little break if the market gets going. If the market doesn't, then we fade out and it's all good. There comes Apple right back in. Wow, okay. So we missed it by a couple pennies. We did get taken out at 75%, reloaded it. Now you're back down to the 50 period MA, so let's take a piece out right there if we're able to get it. We just put a 58 and it ran away. So let's go 58s, then let's go back into the 40s and see if we can get something. There it is. Yes, sir. Let's go. Nice little take here for Apple. We talk about this, man. Sometimes trades are put up or shut up. If you like the trade, put it up. So we got stopped out of 75%. We put it back in. There comes Apple right back in for us again here for that. So nice move back for Apple. Again, going to be a flat trade. Let's see if we can get back down here and we really make some real money now. We're bidding in the 40s, but now that I look at this level, that's like 30s, 27s or 30s. Okay, I'm going to take another piece right here, cancel the 42, see if we can get a 48, and then go back in 26s or so just ahead of the quarters. I like to play around the quarters, evens numbers, halves, so on and so forth. Oh, as if it just stops at 48. Go, go, go. There we go. We get that fill right now, so we'll go sirens here. Good call there for Apple short. I know Neil was looking at that 225 area, so that was a good one right there. We did get taken out of our SOX L as that broke higher. This was a big trade, so really happy to put that one on. All right, Apple, let's go. Bring the pain now. Hey, it's a 60-cent winner. Little bit of chicken dinner there. We have practice tonight. I'm going to be a couple coaches short. Yeah, we need to get some practice. Yeah, we got our game rained out last week.
No, I'm kidding.
Sucked.
Practice. That's
practice.
That's one of those jokes. That, like, I say it, but let's be real. Practice is when you're an athlete and when you're trying to get better at a sport, you take your practice very seriously. And if you don't, you know, you're not going to get there, past, man.
Yeah.
When we played high school basketball, I'll never forget when I was the sole reason we lost against a rival because I shot I think it was 5 of 14 from the foul line, and we lost by 5 points to a team that we never beat. That was terrible. I just started playing basketball the year before. I was god awful. And I remember after that game, I came home and I was like, you know what? After every single practice, I just started taking. I didn't count. I remember maybe it was like 50. It could have been 100. I just took all kinds of foul shots until I didn't suck. And by the time the next year rolled around, I was a 75% shooter. I'm like, I'm never costing my team the game again. I was pissed off. And I knew it was my fault, too. Like, they were fouling me on purpose. And I'm like 5'10", and they're fouling a short guy on purpose. That was just that terrible. So you got to practice. Rivian did make the move that we wanted. Thankfully, sometimes you get a little bit like, look at the wicks. So this is 17. This is 1705. It wicks right to the same top and then comes back underneath and then gives you the opportunity. So it's still setting up that we can short it here into 17 and work it back down into the low. So it's still set up and didn't break it out. The Nasdaq has now wicked that top and come back into the downside. So you're patiently waiting if you're looking for a long breakout. Like, it never happened. TSM, which we had just pulled up, it doesn't break VWAP to take out that high, so you know there's no breakout long in TSM. You already pointed out Apple never broke 225, 25. Tesla didn't get back above. That's not New York. Tesla did not get back above that 250. That 250 level. It did, and it immediately failed it. So another opportunity to basically just short some pops. And then Intel, which I was trying to pick back up at 35. Got up to 93s. I was sitting at 98 and right back into the lows. So the flush continues in this market, and everything is down. I mean, not everything, but almost everything is down today. You even have names that were strong the last couple of days. Like, remember Home Depot was part of that rotation trade? Home Depot is down 1%. It's at the low of the day. It's not just tech that's to the downside today. Like, today, dragging everything with it. That's the difference yesterday and today. I mean, the trading opportunities if you're trading tech have been similar, but the difference is some of the weakness that you're seeing everywhere else. Like, you know, the pullback in Pfizer, pullback in Home Depot.
I mean, there's a lot in
the pullback in Goldman Sachs.
Really?
Like, yeah. Goldman Sachs today. This is the big difference yesterday to today. Because if you're only looking at tech, you're like, oh, it's just the same day as yesterday. Not really. Like, Goldman Sachs rallied, managed to hold on to, in the dip, it held on to its gains. Today, it is just fall down 3%, and 3% may not seem like a lot, but keep in mind Goldman Sachs isn't going to have a lot of 3% days. And it's probably a healthy pullback now that we think about it. Look at that 50-period moving average. It's probably a gift if it gets down there.
Someone in the chat, if you'd like to short, stay short. What was that? There it is, Derek S. I think you're 100% right there. We talk about having that confidence in your position and making sure that, the position that you like is one that you're in. And, we had it today written on the sticky note that we liked AMD short. The first opportunity, the first trade of the day was AMD short. This remains still the number one P&L name. And it's off of this one trade that we took at 9:48. So it's like sometimes trades will happen early, sometimes they'll happen late. But at the same time, you got to like the idea, right? And if the idea is short, then you can hit it. Now, we only held 10% to that downside. This is a hard one to put Fibonacci's on because you don't have anywhere to go. But still a nice move all the way back in. We're going to try to do a little bit better on holding a few things as we go. That Tesla trade, I'm going to cancel that breakout because the market's starting to head downside a little bit. I still do like the long if we can get that again. We were red on Tesla or flattish on Tesla, and then this happened, and then this happened again. We go back-to-back jacks, man. We'll take 3 or 4 trades here on Tesla and put that. That's a so we're up less than half on Tesla than we are on AMD, but we're pretty much up the same on Tesla as we are on Palantir. So that was a good sort of well sort of orchestrated idea there. The one name that we are going to be down on is, and it's crazy to say this, but it's a short on Amazon. And we were short in here, then we flipped over to the long. Some of those reds are long. And then eventually we got stopped out there of that short, which was pretty good because it went up to 186. But we wrote down on the sticky note, wherever it is, here it is that we wanted Amazon long 186. So that's why when it fell into this level, I mean, the market was really coming in. This is 186 right here. So once we lost that, I need not have messed around with it here. We did wind up making a little bit back, but not enough to still put red. So again, we could have shorted 186. This is 186 right here. So we liked it for a long. We should have liked it for a short. Things we need to do better. And things that'll make everyone go, is Apple, because there it goes right now. Spin it. As there it goes, man. We're right back into the 200 period MA. What else are we supposed to do? Top to bottoms. There it is. It's Apple. So we go short there, let it take us out, get back into that other 75%, and now it comes right back in. So yeah, a little bit of pie on the face there that we got out of something in the first place, but Apple rewards us. If you're going to take 20-cent hits, please take 80-cent winners. So there it goes, man. Apple, nice move back in here today. Boom, right downside for this trade. So bye-bye. Stay short and be short. How's it going, guys? We're in this name, and here it goes. It's a nice little downside move. Lars, who do we have here? Oh, Campus Traders, get over here. Get over here immediately. Hi, Sean.
How are you?
How are you, Miguel? You guys are now on the air.
How are you?
Hi.
Sean, nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Neil, nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Reg?
Jugbeat, how are you, my guy? There we go.
Good to meet you.
So these guys are part of the Campus program. So thank you to Lars for doing all the work there as well. What do you guys... Microphone time. Is this on?
It works. Always on.
Okay. Lars, you want to say a couple words about the Campus program?
We're going to start a new cohort again soon. So we'll be doing some advertisements soon again, so that'll be exciting. So hopefully some of you can join us as well.
All right. Do any of these guys want to talk quickly about anything? What are you trading? What are you trading? What are you trading?
I'm in level 5 of the program,
Bang.
so I trade...
I have no idea about the levels, but that sounds
well, congratulations. Higher than 1.
Yeah, right. So in level 5, we're allowed to explore multiple stocks, not just like CP or VRN like we were. So I've been in the Canadian market exploring, and yeah, it's tough, but it's a great program for anybody that's interested. Honestly, it's an awesome opportunity. So
may I suggest to you Palantir? When you get a second.
I've tried trading with you guys. It didn't go
Volume
well.
and liquidity is what you want.
Yeah.
Volume and
thank
liquidity.
you. Take care, my guy.
Thank you very much. Best of luck.
All right, you never know what's going to happen around here. Shout out to our Campus program. And you guys, there it is.
Starting up again, right?
Firsthand. You see the success of some of the Campus traders. And by the way, we're now $1.50 in the money, Campus traders, right there. You can trade some Apple. It's the apple of our eye right here. Nice move down. Hey, you know what? Let's take another piece of profit right there. There it is. Oh, man. There. Look at this. Look at this move right there on Apple. Ciao. See you later. That's a good little trade right there. Yeah. Where's that sound effect, baby? It's coming through right there. It's a banger for Apple. So that was a heck of a lot of fun. I want to thank those guys for coming through. Miss Adara, what you got?
Keep an eye on Smart Sheet here, SMAR. This one up here about 5% with really strong volume. Support circulating here that the company is working with Quantalist partners to field some takeover interest. So potential takeover interest here for SMAR. Some information here about the company. We have a float of around 130 million shares. Larger market cap as well, around $6 billion, guys.
That's what it should look like. When we had that last one we were talking about for potential deal, that's what you expect to see if you're talking about a deal. I want to see extended volume. I want to see actual breaking out, because usually that's what you're going to get. Obviously, this is it's not a small company, but you have an overextended move so far. If there is a pullback to be had, you just got to look at sort of the obvious. If it goes all the way to 46, I mean, come on, that's where it broke out from. But if it only goes halfway, it just went and topped out 48. I think the 47, obviously the 46 level, if it can consolidate there, always worth a look. A lot of times you can get a little bit of a floor put on a deal or potential deal running into the end of the day. There's still some time. You never want to hope that there's going to be a bounce. I just want to see a consolidation on it, then take a shot that it can get back into the highs. This is the volume you want to see if there's an actual deal happening, as opposed to just petering off right away. That's what it's all about. So SMAR, just want to make sure I have that symbol. To note that if we don't get an update on news, I want to check it tomorrow morning to see if we find some. But it's pulling right back in. VWAP's at 46.40, but I'm eyeballing that 46 level. 46 is where previous resistance to potential support could be.
All right, that was fun with those campus guys. You guys in the chat are like, show them the Apple trade. I tried. But there it is.
Well, there's some specific rules they have in the program, I think.
Level 5 sounded nice.
No, it sounds great. I mean, like I said, it's not level 1.
Yeah.
Like you don't start at level 5, so obviously there's been a progression there, right?
Yeah.
Unless they do.
There's certain levels to everything.
Like level 5. The heck was... You guys are just always making up these. See,
that one was necessary. That one was.
Fabian loves to he likes the experimentation. But what's interesting is they're withholding all of those other cool things from us. Like we don't have any of those on our board. Like I can't when the numbers pop up.
I like it
I
when
don't
he
have
hits
that
it.
one. I love it when he hits it too. So this SMAR does not quite get to 46. Again, I was just looking at a simple, can it get down into previous resistance for support? And it ends up bouncing a little bit higher than that. So, not the target area. It can always calm down a little bit. That's what it's all about. I did pay for locates on GameStop, and it's now lost this 26 level. So yesterday, I said this a couple times, but if you missed it or you weren't tuning in yesterday, GameStop dumped at about 330 on huge volume, and it's been a continuation ever since. 26 has been a key level. It's the 50 period on the daily. Oddly enough, not that it usually matters on a stock like GameStop. And then right back here on the 15th, it was big support. So if we can't pop back through 26 even, I'm going to go for a short in here. If it continues this stair-step pattern to the downside, maybe if it continues the stair-step downside, great. That's one way it could work. If there's a seller at the end of the day, then bank error in your favor. They dumped it at the end. Feels like they've already done a lot of the work, but it's at that key level of 26, which just broke. So it's about to retest higher. We'll look to fade this pop for sure. And D-Loaf in the chat, here we go. D-Loaf, 4 phases, 4th is live. Phase 3 has levels 1 through 5. So if you're accurately describing the program, that would suggest to me that one step away. If you're phase 3 and inside of phase 3, level 5 is the last step before going live, then hey, you're on the precipice. And that's what it's all about. It's a good system for learning to trade. And that's why we believe in the campus program. And everyone here that starts on the floor, you start as a trainee training in a simulator, you have to hit certain goals, and then you get the opportunity to go live and prove yourself. That's what it's all about at Real Trading.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring those guys on. You're going to be able, you heard from Lars himself. He will be hosting another training session coming soon, and stay tuned for that. Unfortunately for now, and there's more news to come on this. For now, only not allowed in the United States of America, but still sign up. Keep on signing up. All right. Right now, Apple is, we've already done this before, but we didn't do it because we had these guys, and I don't want to intimidate them because They may be level 5, but what level does that mean we're at? Right there, there's a leveled up trade for Apple. It is now $1 in the money. We've already taken $1.50 down there. Let's see if it wants to keep going. And I'm glad to have put this trade on with you guys here now today. So that would have been a good one. We are out of our SOXL, which now is going to be a little bit lower. So that could have held on to that one into the lows as well. But hey, coulda, woulda, shoulda. I do like that Tesla now. Look, what was I thinking? Oh my God, because look at that. We were thinking about a break of the 50 period. So this is where, you know, sometimes the strategy, although I don't want to say it fails because nothing's failing. It's just, we're at the highest spot we've been at all day right now. And the strategies that we're using have created, like I told you, top net names here again today. It also, some of my strategies also create very negative names sometimes as well. So trade with caution, but not today. Today, most of the big ones here have been on our sticky note and trades that we really like that made sense to us. And we talk about that all the time. You know, follow people when you understand their strategies and then try to, you know, articulate them or figure them out so that you can yourself, you know, put some money in the bank as well. Because even that guy was like, oh, he tried to follow you. It's not, you know, you're not going to be able to sort of copy one-for-one trades. You got to have some ideas. And that one right there, that 50-period moving average, generally speaking, that's one that I'm all about, taking that level. But I thought Tesla was strong. At that point, we were actually up on the day on Tesla into a negative market. So I was trying to play basically the reversion trade where we're going long on a name that's just came back in and now trying to break a trend line. But that didn't happen. We should have just stayed net short. But instead, we went over to Apple, and this one made sense to me. A name that came back to a resistance level. And we just had Ryan Fuhuna on. And I mean, he's talking about keeping things as simple as possible. You know, we've again had multiple days off this month. And we're having a wicked month. And I just think it's like sticking with what's been working, sticking with sort of the feels that you have on the market, and understanding that this is a very trendy market once it goes. I mean, the Nasdaq here has just been faded. Like we drew that line right here, right? We talked about Apple, and we drew some lines about all these lower highs still being put into place. Well, it's still happening. So this trend, it can get going. You saw it in the morning as well. No better examples than the short that we had immediately. And we knew we wanted AMD short. I mean, it's right on here. So that was a good one. Here we go. Apple maybe picking up some steam right now. Just so you know, we're at about 15% left for Apple. So one more takeout coming soon as we've just bounced back upside. Potential short back at the 50 period, 224.35, 321 already.
Yeah.
So potentially slowing down.
Yeah, look, you're getting close to those, 330, we need to get the early look. I just want to caution. So by the way, GameStop, we just talked with, you said with Ryan Fuhuna, support to resistance. So GameStop at 26, you break at 26, there's your previous low, 25.93. So what happens? It breaks 26, goes down, pulls back in, fails at 25.93, that same previous bottom. So when it retakes the low, short on the low break, stop up in here, and then it goes to the downside. Now, if it goes against me, I know exactly where the stop is going to be. It's like a structured trade. But tomorrow, it's a big Nasdaq 100 event. WBA is coming out of the Nasdaq 100. SMCI is going into it. Now, sometimes the day before, you might see a little bit of action. Maybe we'll see SMCI or WBA on the imbalance locator. I don't know. Tomorrow at Friday, I'm not saying it's going to be a big buy and balance or it's going to move, but the eyeballs are going to be on SMCI. And by the way, SMCI took it on the chin like a lot of other things did today. And it came right back to that 800. I didn't get the 800 break because, the spread opened up to like $2.50 or something like that. So, it's very different taking a breakout on or a breakdown on this stock than others. I think that's not really even the way that you trade this ultimately. But SMCI down 3%, but not at the lows when the market's at the lows. I feel like there might be buyers in here as it falls down with the market because of what's happening tomorrow. So SMCI is going to be on watch. At 3:30, I'll be looking at this in WBA. If it so happens that Walgreens is a sell, I might want to join it. More likely to trade Walgreens than SMCI, just given the spread.
All right, we got some Broadcom news here on the Benzinga platform here. Apparently, they're looking to develop an AI chip. So looky, what we just did right there. Cancel. Broadcom right now, 50 cents in the money right there. So hit the sirens up right now, but it don't matter, Broadcom or not. Here comes a nice push in again for Apple. So I'm going to take potentially another piece out right now on that. Broadcom, good out there up at 90s because there's the fall back in. So again, we'll be flat on that play. Broadcom out for half and then, well, maybe a little bit up, but out for there and then out again on this drip down. What's up, Adara?
This Broadcom story here coming from reported by The Information, saying that OpenAI is in discussions or has talked to Broadcom about developing a new AI chip. So that is the story. If anyone missed it, big volume spike here for AVGO compared to previous volume candles on the day. OpenAI reportedly talking to Broadcom about developing a new AI chip. The Information reporting that AVGO.
No one's talking to Intel these days, I guess, because Intel right now, this is just like straight. Bleh.
No, they don't have the capacity. So like,
No, it's a great stock. I like the long. It's just right now this afternoon. Yeah,
they're behind in technology in terms of building advanced chips. It's just that simple. Everyone else, like TSM and everyone else, is just they're at a different level, and Intel's playing catch up. The good news is that gives you more upside to the stock in the long term, right? But the bad news is they're in some trouble. Can I just very quickly? That SMAR, it didn't bounce off 46 like I wanted, but it just made a retest at 47. So didn't quite get to VWAP, but there's a test, the higher low at 47. It was pretty simple. I mean, first move to 48, breakout from 46, pick the even dollar. It holds an even dollar, take that trade. If it gets back into the high, we'll scalp it out. If it breaks that low, then we jump out of the trade. But K-Dub, shout out for the super chat. We appreciate you. What's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with anybody. There ain't nothing wrong with you. I can't live chat. I just joined 5 minutes. You should be able to. But as long as you're a subscriber to the chat, as long as you're a subscriber to the chat, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button. If you can't chat after that, then we got issues we got to fix. All you have to do is be a subscriber. So it is a subs-only chat, but it takes you 2 seconds to hit that sub. You want to hit the like, go ahead and do that. Why are all banks red and equal in market value? What is on the menu? Did you get the memo? You did what's lunch today? No, the banks, my explanation for why the banks or a lot of these rally names have been red, it's just been a pullback kind of day. You know, we showed the Goldman Sachs chart, whether you want to pull that up or, I mean, I don't know, like I can pull up Morgan Stanley and go over sort of the same, if it actually wants to load here. If it actually wants to load, there you go, and go over the same thing. You've had a pretty strong rally in a lot of the financials, and sometimes you get this kind of a healthy pullback. And I think it's more that than anything else. I'm not going to read too much more into it than, hey, these things have been going up for a few weeks, and sometimes they've been explosive for 4 or 5 days, like you saw that Goldman chart. And when the profit taking comes in, sometimes it comes in heavy, and it's been into a heavy market as well. Maybe these people are taking money out of this to dip by some other things that are getting lower. So it could be a lot, but obviously, you know, they've been on a pretty strong rally overall. Sean had showed XLF already. We had showed Goldman Sachs, but I just pulled up randomly Morgan Stanley, knowing we'd see basically the same thing. So that's what it's all about. So SMAR has declining volume here. So bounce off 47. There's resistance at 47.60. I'm just now sitting here to get it out at the 47.60, and I should be out in front of the 47.60. There was even an IPO today that I'm wondering if I want to trade it, but I'm wondering if some of these smaller IPOs aren't okay for the opening trade, because like this stock, I had it like for like a breakout trade, but I can't remember the last time I saw an IPO open at the even dollar. It opened, this RT opened at $15, immediately had size at $15. And then just instantly rallied to 15.50, held the higher low at 15.25, broke 15.50 and got to 15.95, and now it's just chilling at the top. So you probably could have taken the opening fill on this, instantly thrown a stop at 14.99 and just profited. And we usually sit around waiting for the big IPOs to do that. And now I keep seeing small ones do that same setup. And that was a good opportunity. Like, I didn't take it. I only ever take real size for the opening print or the opening trade. I'm never buying it 5% up or whatever for full size, because I don't like chasing these things, especially when I don't know much about them. But this was one that I think was a missed opportunity for just that easy open trade with your stop set and locked and loaded to go, ARDT.
Yeah, good look there on recent IPOs. There's so many different names of trade these days, of course. Theirs are out there at 83s or 84s on Apple. I mean, it could easily fall back in there. We had talked about we did put a bid down here at the 60s, but then AMD and everything starts ripping up a little bit here. So that's Apple right here, Fabian, down here at 233, 23 right there, 80s, a piece out. Remember, we had 15%. Now we have a little bit less than that, probably half, so like 7.5%, 8% left right now on Apple. There was another trade idea that I had, it was Nvidia. So I actually want to go long Nvidia here, and we almost got it. I was bidding 30s. Where did this go to? 44s, okay. Where's that little bottom? 36s, okay. So we missed the long there by 3 pennies, but hopefully it comes back in and fills us. The reason why we're looking for a little bit of a long is this little wick bottom that's just been happening over and over again right now. Obviously, if you're going to go lower, probably 118.75 or so, but I don't mind testing out this 119 area. So if we do fall back in, let's take some 30s. So that way it'll give us like 70 cents worth of risk or so, because I really do feel like there is a good opportunity to get some money in on Nvidia right now with a taste or test, could taste and test, back up to this 120.50, 121 area for Nvidia on a rally back. So let's give it a shot. If it holds, great. If we have to take an L somewhere on here, that would be fun. Wow, there was just someone that flash size there, I think, by accident. All right, let's...
That's the worst.
Yeah, it's gone now. I don't know if they got filled or not. I just want to check on AMD quickly because this was our big trade and still my number one P&L name on the day after this one trade. So it's all making me think, like, scrap the scalping too much. Maybe we can just go on this. But nice look there for AMD here today as that's trying to go back to the upside. We could just check out Palantir. Let's just go back to some names that we've been really successful on. Palantir actually came right back into that level. So yeah, that probably should have been respected and bought again down here at 28.20. We've already done this trade before. Came right back in for us. So that would have been a good look maybe on Palantir. Still could come through. Problem is it's 3:30. Yeah. So we only have a couple more minutes until those imbalances come through. It looks like we did get thrown around a little bit on Broadcom there. And by thrown around, I mean very small amount of shares. Profit, so we went long there at 39, basically this break right there. And then that piece out it's half at 158 flat. So that's 60 cents. And then that hit is basically the same 60 cents again, getting out at 156.75. So flat on Broadcom news. That it looks like they're trying to partner up with OpenAI and do something about their chips. We get that story.
Still good news.
Yeah, shares are trading higher following reports suggesting OpenAI is in talks with the company about developing a new chip. So, all right, big screen time with Adara.
We're going to talk about some of the names in the S&P 500 making larger moves with some interesting catalysts that maybe we haven't discussed as much. One of these is actually going to be Meta here. This one up more than 2%. We did have this one recovering from falling yesterday, but also this report coming from the Financial Times that Meta is looking to take a stake in Ray-Ban maker EssilorLuxottica. Of course, Ray-Ban does work with Meta as well for those Meta glasses, so certainly interesting note here for META. We also have here CRWD, CrowdStrike, one of the names in the cybersecurity space selling off. Redburn Atlantic downgrading this one and lowering its price target from $380 to $275, so more than $100 price target decrease for CrowdStrike. Last but not least here, we have ELV, Elevance Health. They reported yesterday before the open, getting some price target decreases here from Barclays and BofA Securities. BofA Securities actually downgrading them to neutral as well, so ELV, guys.
Yeah, that's worth a look there. That move in Meta back and forth has been absolutely spectacular. 330 hit, no Walgreens, no it's SMCI that we might expect a little something. Enbridge, you see that kind of every single day. BNS, when you have these dualistic Canadian names, when the imbalances come out in Canada, oftentimes it's just the other direction. Pfizer might be worth a watch because it's moving around, but that's a small sell, 700,000 to the sell side. Not a lot there. GM always pairs off, so $1 million there is not going to be that big a deal. So we'll keep our ear to the ground. Imbalances in about 15 minutes or so, and we'll see if there's something big. Nvidia did that thing where it came out a couple million shares. Nvidia has been 2 to 4 million shares at least every other day. So that's always worth a look at 350. That SMAR, again, declining volume big time. Bounced off the 47. I said I'd get out if it couldn't break out of this channel. And once again, it failed that high. So if it fails 47, this all started with a breakout 45, breakout 46 previous top. If it fails here, I think it's $1 lower. And this was just deal speculation here. The other thing, sometimes when you get deal speculation, I've had it happen before, where if there's a response or something, you get a late halt in the stock. You never really want to be caught in that situation. When I get over to GME, we're looking for that breakdown. At 3:30 yesterday, GME dumped, but we were short on the breakdown. 3:30, it's breaking back higher. So I'm just going to get out. We had our stop set at 93. We're going to jump out of GameStop, down 7%. Don't want this thing trying to make a squeeze back into VWAP. Don't want to give that up. Easily capable of doing anything. If it can drop $1 yesterday in 5 minutes, it can rip $1 on you as well. Still going to be in Rivian, which is the only thing I have left on. That one underneath VWAP, continuing to sort of break down here. We got the 97 short. It just tagged 75s here on Rivian. We're looking for a pullback into about 1665 before 350 hits. And Naresh asking what's going on with MSOS. Why, is it going up in smoke or something? Or no, it's not doing anything. It's actually dead flat. If this is almost like algo trading. Like when you have this kind of like a heartbeat pattern, same bottom, same top, inside range, just bouncing, gets under VWAP, they buy it. Gets over VWAP, they sell it. So that's usually a nothing burger. But on the daily time frame, well, this is what's happening in MSOS. It needs to break 820. What happens if we break out this top? You want things that are squeeze type or need that accelerant to break out resistance. So a consolidation is good, and then you get a potential breakout. Maybe we'll start hearing more about Cannabis, and you get some kind of a catalyst, but this looks pretty good for an 825 break. This has to happen. So until that does, this is what you get. You get all these wicks and failures up top. I'm sure somebody's probably scalping this thing short.
After, I mean, I was looking about something going short right now. Eli Lilly,
oh my goodness,
continues to go short as well. Yeah, huge.
It's been
move. Huge move down as they get a little worried about the oral from Roche. There came through with a possible GLP-1 alternative, and obviously this would absolutely destroy Eli Lilly, in my opinion, because if someone can just take a pill or whatever the form is, other than injecting themselves with a needle, I feel like that's a better, more efficient
Unless
way
you really like needles
of doing it, which a lot of people do. Not me.
They had to swap nurses when they were putting in my IV. The first one, it was like on the first hand, it was like I think it was like 4 or 5 times. Yeah. She was apologizing. She's like, I'm so sorry, and she was so kind and nice about it.
Have the right one.
And then she swapped it around, and the other one came in, did the other hand. It was like done in 2 seconds. Yeah, I felt bad because she was embarrassed. I was just like, but she felt embarrassed about it. I'm like,
she should be embarrassed. She should probably be fired.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I'm just joking.
But if you don't like needles,
a nurse needs to be able to apply a needle, but IV.
But if you don't like that, somebody could have passed out when that, like 4 or 5 times.
I hate that. I can't. I probably would have passed out. That's what I'm saying.
It's not. It wasn't fun, anyways. I'll tell you that much. But Josh plays DFS in the chat. What to do with Netflix earnings? Well, the first thing to do is tune in for the aftermarket show. We've got Danielle Shay on the market recap today. Locked and loaded, ready to go. I just messaged her. She was dropping. I didn't say which of her kids she was dropping off at camp, but she was on her way back, and I'm assuming the F-150, because that's what they ended up getting on the way back. So she'll be locked and loaded, ready to talk specifically about Netflix earnings. I think I said this yesterday, but Netflix has some pretty clear defined levels here. Like this, what the heck? Oh, I guess I'll right click. This 640 level, big support, holding on to it. If we lose 640 for whatever reason, clear stop at 600, very clear stop at 550. It's not often you see this, but the 200 period moving average is exactly the most important dip support that the stock has had. Now that's a ways away here. You got to drop $90, which is 13%. I don't know, that's about 13.5%. Let's just eyeball it. That's like a 13.5% move, which is more than we're expecting on Netflix. So pretty unlikely, but if it does, 550 looks like an obvious spot for a dip buy. I'd be concerned certainly for them, to be sure. But, I mean, you need people like Ryan to actually bother to get Netflix if they like it. Got to have paying customers out there.
Ryan and Sharif may get along real well.
Sharif, doesn't he pay for it now?
Not as far as I know, but maybe.
You know what?
Did his moms kick him off the plan, or
I
what?
could be wrong.
Okay, so
don't quote me on that. Maybe he isn't still paying.
Yeah, you can quote me on it. I think he is not. All right, so right here, Apple's starting to go up. Remember, we only have 10 more minutes till those imbalances come through, so that's going to be something to watch out for. Great trade there by Rivian Millionaire. I'm glad that you have that. I wish that we would still been into it. I'm glad we had mentioned it here. I'm glad I took the trade, but I'm more glad that you have it. Rivian Millionaire right there, putting down some cash and taking the long on AVGO. I Could have held it and probably should have. But again, little news-based trade there. Broadcom kicking it there. So nice move there. Thanks for sharing, Rivian Millionaire. I recently got out of some of the Rivian, and we talked about that at 18.55 was my exact price. And we shared that with you all today or a couple days ago as well. So that looks like temporarily, I don't know where it's going to go, but it looks like a good trade for right now. I did actually put some money where my mouth was there over lunchtime. We bought some Starbucks down here over lunch. So it's probably a little bit higher than where, well, actually I got filled. So I think we probably got filled around 74.50. That would make sense where I would put that. I can double check that order for you. And then I did buy into, and again, these are for complete long-term names, into some Nike as well today. Both those got filled. Obviously, they're going to be out of the money now as the market, tech names rallying and other names. Actually, ES is doing fine. So Nike downside right now today. We'll take advantage of that and buy a little bit more. I'm just so overweighted.
I'm waiting for the break on Nike. Nike did the same 74 top. So this is actually, it held a double bottom. This is what we were looking for. Held a double bottom and now has a consolidative top since that. I mean, obviously things didn't go well for them. But there's a double bottom. All it has to do is take out the previous resistance, which is actually 74.25. So I'm a buyer once it breaks that. And even a day, that could be even a day trade. Like really, it's not exclusive to just when you want to get on strong volume or a strong move or a direction. But the thing I did over lunchtime, actually I didn't do it over lunchtime, it happened over lunchtime. Wicks on the 4 chart. No, 4 did not get to 1580, but it did get to 1480. And I was selling in front of $15. So I sold some in front of 15. The wicks are coming back there. It'd be amazing if those were real. I was talking about BS prints and when you used to see some of that happen and people would get these weird fills and then they'd break the trade and then you'd be upset. And one of the trainees was talking about, I forget the stock, where they got, in their own personal account, they got a dummy fill.
Okay.
They were it read them, hey, they're in the money 500,000, and then you get the phone call that you have the trade broken because that's what they do. But these dark pool wicks, they're just an annoyance. 4 did not get to 14, but it got to, it's 1580, but it did get to 1480. And in front of that 15 level, this is why. There you go, zoom out. I was always planning here that if we broke down, I was just getting out. I saw it holding this 200 period moving average. When it broke the second time, if it lost here, I'm getting out of this thing. If it got up to the top, I'm taking out half at 15, and then we'll see what happens with the other half. I have some GM shares. They've been doing so much better overall. I feel like I'd rather hold the GM shares than the Ford shares. And that's just because GM's chart looks like this, and it's much, much better. It's so good that they're just leaving you in suspense all the way up at $50. Just so much stronger is this GM chart. So, which one do I like better? I don't care of either car company. I just like this chart and the stock moving a little bit better here in GM.
All right, yeah, I agree with that. I like the GM chart for sure. As we look there, I still own both of those, did not get anything out. All right, so I should have got more into Apple. We just came back right back to 225 there. Remember, we only have 6% left or whatever we told you guys. Down there we had 15% and got out of half there, so 7.5% left. So nice move back up. We should have shorted it. I'm now waiting there right now because we were not before. So should be pretty good if that can hit for us. Bitcoin, not a great day. Let me check out what's happening with IBIT because I remember this morning we were looking at crypto and it was 65-ish. Now you're down here to 63.6. But nice little rally back, so that's good for. Wow, look at Bitcoin with look at Bitcoin with a VWAP again. I mean, this is what it's about, man. I should have told those guys, oh man, come back here, campus traders. Just use VWAP and absolutely nothing else. Honestly, there it is right there. VWAP again, another good trade. If you're just trying to pick out trades, that would be something to look at for sure.
You want something simple. The thing about a VWAP trade is that at least when you're going over ideas, it's easy to say, okay, this is where you get it. It's not hard to follow rules with it. It's a very simple indicator. You find a support or resistance off it. I just happen to have Dell up because it's absolutely flying, right? But if you were trading off of VWAP here in the afternoon, well, Dell already had a high at 124.25. So if you happen to be shorting it off of VWAP, it'd be an easy place to put a stop for like 40 or 50 cents. That's all I'm getting at. Like it's usually going to give you defined trades, which if you start with those, if you break your rules, it's obvious. If you have like 55 different reasons of confluence to get into a trade, then it's going to be easy for you to come up with 56 and not get out of the trade when you should. That's all. But if you have a really simplistic reason for being in, then it's easy for you to give up on it and acknowledge when you're wrong. That's the idea about being simple trading. So Dell just went green. I pulled it up because everyone else is talking about how strong Dell is. Rivian might come right back to break even. If we break 17, I'm going to get out of it. I don't see anything. Nothing's changing in terms of early look imbalances. It's not like Dell popped up or Meta popped up. They're just looking very strong going into some of these highs. But Rivian's coming right back into either we hold here at VWAP, we break the 17. I'm going to tighten the stop up because it's 344 already.
Oh my. Let's go. We just talked about this, man. I mean, before I was talking about VWAP there, and then we just went off a little bit. But here we go. Nice move upside here for Apple. We got to take something out, though, if we're going to capitalize on it. Good short. We just talked about getting that short again. Boom, goes the dynamite again. One more time. So let's just cook it up. Nice trade right there for Apple. Yes, sir. Oh, my. This day is getting to be pretty epic. Again here, just good trades early, believe in the trades. Like none of our, besides Broadcom, like everything else is like, almost threw up a little bit in my mouth there. I apologize. But there goes Broadcom. Wow. Oh, we were only long at 157.50. It's just $3 in the money right now. So, okay. Good trade there, I guess, for Broadcom. But there it goes. Congratulations to the trillionaire now, Rivian trillionaire. You should maybe change your name off that. I'm glad that we were able to grab that for you. But there it is, man. We are now out of much more than half of this trade right there. It is, Neil. Another one creating this. So, big time trading. Yes, sir. We like that.
What was that one? I like that.
It was a good one, whatever one it was. Good days today coming through. So we'll just, like, it's 3:45 right now. Maybe we got to wear shroom hat a little more often. All right. So good trade. Like, look at this. What else are we supposed, like, what else we say? Who next? Like Apple, boom, thank you, come again. Like you want to talk about the essence or the evolution of a trader. There you go. You guys want to make a movie? I'm right here. Patient today. We take that note all the way to 340. And it's like, why would I short all the way up here? Let's just wait. So that was a good one. I'll bid out again at 71s. Remember, we do have these imbalances coming through. The kind of day that we're doing, we're at the highest spot we're at right now. And honestly, it's like we've leveled up. So that was a good one. We'll take it out. Now again on Apple, we have less than 20% left of this trade. Neil's already gone over this. Enbridge, BNS, the bank.
It's all the nothing stuff.
Yeah, so you're going to get, well.
I'm going to have Walgreens up.
There's lots of stocks on here. Nothing stocks. These are basically, they're all New York. That's the problem. But again, look down here. Disney, UPS, FCX, Wells Fargo, the banks are in the building, right? We talked about Pfizer. BMY's been really, really beat up. That one needs
but it's a lot of those have been beat up a lot.
No.
Pfizer's chart's pretty nasty too.
Oh, no. I'm talking about BMY though from time. Like Pfizer's at least bounced back. Here, let me show you BMY.
No, I thought they were equally bad.
No. BMY has been.
No, Pfizer's chart's not exactly very pretty. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, they might be the same. I'm just like this name again. Maybe. I don't know. I just like
that's pretty bad.
$54 down to 40. Maybe. I just feel like Pfizer was leveling off a little bit for a little bit longer. But yeah, you're right. Since June, for sure, in this range of $3. Looks like Bristol Myers might actually.
No, Pfizer is doing a little better, I'd say.
Yeah. Like so.
No, they both stink, but Pfizer's like a little bit better. See how Pfizer's back above the 200.
Often, but
it's like it's not a good chart, but it's like a less bad chart. That's the best way to think about it. But with 2 minutes to go. As I said, at 350, we get the early look on New York. At 350, we'll get the Nasdaq numbers, and that's when you might, I stress the word might, it is tomorrow that SMCI is being added to the index. It is tomorrow that WBA is coming out of the Nasdaq 100, but that's when you might see some numbers out of those two, and that's what we're anticipating. So VWAP just came in on Rivian again. This will be the last ditch. If it breaks above VWAP, you just got to get out. It's late in the day. There's not much left here. Just going to cancel any orders and stop orders that we don't need to be hitting. Because you don't want to have those fill when you're not attending. That would be foolish. And that happened to a trader, and I'll never forget it. Silly. We had a trader that left a stop order and got filled on the market close in the futures. All because before he logged out, he did not remember to check, and it filled right away. Thankfully, the managers were right there to hit the flatten key, but you pay a little spread in the aftermarket and you lost on it, and that was just laziness because it actually warns you that you have an order out before you log out, which is hilarious.
AVGO is the ripper de jour, to say the least.
Whole split too.
Absolutely fantastic trading right there on Broadcom on that news. So I just wanted to say we actually just got note that there was some subscriptions there from Benzinga when Ryan was on. So I want to thank everybody for that. And there it goes again, boom, off of that, right? I mean, nothing different that I did at all. I just saw the news and went long and fortunately put a stop out. But that stop was okay. Like, look, it would have triggered down here if we didn't get out up here. So pretty good, pretty good. We are not reloading Apple. My stop on this trade with our last 10% is 11s. So here we go, man. Will we lose? And you know, this is why we scalped out of this thing. We know that 350 is here. I mean, we may look like a spring chicken, but we definitely are not. We've been here for a minute. And the thing is like we've seen these imbalances come and go over and over and over again. So there it is. Stop us out. Apple, guess what it is?
Another one.
Positive stock. So there it goes. We'll drop down some cash there. Look at the Nasdaq, man. We are really taking off. So a couple good outs for us. We covered our SOX L trade right there. And you could see what's happening. That was a short in the market, right? So there it is, short covered. And now you're getting blown up. We definitely knew that Nvidia was going to go. We tried to buy this. We didn't know about it or I would have punched, but we were sitting down here and we just didn't get filled. I actually still have the bid there. So that's what's happening right now. Now the stocks are starting to go upside. I don't know what they were, but definitely seems pretty huge there. I don't have my
I have Intel sell 2.6 million, Nvidia sell 1.7 million, Apple sell 1.2 million, Marvell sell 1 million shares. So we've got pretty much across the board. Amazon 800,000 to the sell side. So pretty much across the board to the sell. Nvidia has been the bigger one most days, but keep in mind, Intel 2.6 million versus Nvidia 1.6. That's an order of magnitude more notional value for Nvidia. Obviously, that's a bigger imbalance. So nothing doing on Walgreens Boots Alliance or it's SMCI. Why do I always forget the one that's more important? Because they're going in. That's what everyone's going to be focused on tomorrow. No action. VWAP broke on Rivian, so we reloaded at 93 and got out when it took out 96. Just keep it tight to the vest. At the end of the day, we only have about 9 minutes to go. Nvidia on that push was right into the tops. You probably could have had something. It was at a resistance level. That's actually been a trade sometimes if you want to. It's not that you're anticipating that there's going to be a sell imbalance, but it's kind of like a free roll coin flip if it's at a resistance level anyways that you would have shorted regardless. Because then you just have a stop at 121.50. If imbalance comes bid, you're stopped out at 121.50 like you would be anyways. And if it comes out sell, you get an extra push down because the imbalance worked in your favor. So every now and then you can have an idea for that. I mean, ideally, that's what I would have hoped for on Walgreens, which surprisingly enough, they're getting the old heave-ho from the Nasdaq 100, and someone's getting the selling out of the way early on Walgreens. I don't wonder if it's this bad today. I mean, it's not a good stock. That's why you leave the Nasdaq 100 in the first place. But if it's this bad today, I don't wonder if there isn't an opportunity to maybe just take some trend shorts in the middle of the day on Walgreens. Wow, nasty. I remember when this was a stock that people liked. But I'm old, so it's easy for that to be true.
Yeah.
Wow. Glad I don't own Walgreens. We're talking about the Pfizer chart. Like,
look at this. On our last 10% there on Apple, this is why, you can see what happens here on those imbalances. Like we got stopped out right before the imbalances. We could have not put that order out. If by random chance the imbalances come long, then it goes the other way. But today they came short. So nice move there for some of these names that we just highlighted them, including Nvidia pushing back down there. Bank of Nova Scotia, I guess, still staying there. I don't know why, but okay, that's a nice move there. We already talked about Bristol Myers. Neil went over some of these. Amazon as well, nice downside move right back into that level. Could be a buy here at the end of the day. I just feel like you really are sort of pulling at teeth right now, trying to find like a bigger trade. But if there was anything of significant value that sort of popped up, I think we could definitely make that play. Let's just have a look. Intel was a big one off of the 200 period. So that could have been good there. Okay. I better cancel all my stop orders, make sure we don't have anything filling there. Yeah,
there was a question about this. Walgreens tomorrow's coming out of the Nasdaq 100. So that's it's coming out of the Nasdaq 100 tomorrow, and the SMCI is going into the Nasdaq 100. I feel like I probably just said the index And then that's my bad. I didn't specify. But yeah, Nasdaq 100 action tomorrow. Maybe we see something, maybe we don't. But I'll be geared up for it. When it does hit, sometimes you get a Tesla-like move. It won't be nearly as big, the notional value. And that Nvidia is pairing off as we speak. So before 355 even hits, Nvidia's already paired off half. So you're already seeing that pair. Apple, still 1.3. Intel's not really pairing it off. 2.5 million to the sell side still for Intel. Giving some of it back today, although still up 1%. It's kind of what it did yesterday. Like, it gave it all back and then managed to stay green. There's no possible way it can do the breakout and then fade 3 days in a row. But if it does, we should probably all be trying the breakout and fade on Intel. It's like twice in a row. It does the same move, just a little bit more compressed.
Yeah. I like Intel. I feel like I want to buy it if it ever gets down to that $32 level, which maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, maybe never. We'll see if it does get down there again. Another kind of Trump play there, as he came out and talked about that, trying to get some chip strength back onto U.S. soil, and Intel would be the play there. So some nice run-up.
That's one of the only things they might both agree on, actually, I think. Like, what else do they both agree on? That they want to bring chip production into the U.S.? I think you win either way with that.
Apparently, they both agree that Donald J. Trump will be winning, because if Biden's going to be backing out, there might be a reason why that's happening. Apparently, he's asking for how Kamala is polling right now. All right, so right down there, I'm guessing that Donald Trump would love to hear that announcement. All right, 223.90 right now. Look at this.
Don't give your
so boom to the downside right there for Apple, and then there's 355. So now you get another move. I mean, I'm still happy as you know what about Apple. I mean, I can't be unhappy with it. Nvidia completely turned around as well at 355. So you want to talk about some tomfoolery happening in the marketplace? Well, I mean, just right now, right in the last 10 minutes, you get $1.50 downside, then $1.50 right back up because of the closing imbalances. So I hope we've all learned a little bit here. That's very risky to put on positions in the last 10 minutes. So let's keep that in mind. Before all this happened, I had Netflix on my mind, not because there will be, Netflix and chill still a thing. I haven't heard people mention that in a minute, but still very, very popular Netflix. We'll see what happens here today. Let's just look at the daily chart for NFLX. So with an 8% implied move, last time it was 9%. So you're at 640. You're going to chop off $60 onto this name, bring it back into 580, which brings it into this level if they miss. I would say I would be a buyer of Netflix at the 200 period moving average. I love the subscription. I love the service. I love the subscription model. So yeah, if there's anything in the water with Netflix, let's look up to pick some up tomorrow on this name. I was lucky enough to buy some real low, but I was also lucky enough to get out of this. Unlucky enough to get out of this around $50 or so when Netflix was one of its first brand new company. I remember being a subscriber and having to mail them back. And now, obviously, what they've done with that business is huge. And remember, I still feel that. So my call for Netflix would be a beat. And I'll tell you, I don't know about a beat, but tomorrow up. And the reason why is I think they're going to talk all kinds of nice, they're going to remind people that they have NFL. They're going to remind people about some of the boxing that they're trying to get involved in. Of course, that Tyson fight was canceled.
Boo.
Yeah, that would have been great.
That would have been great for them. It was great for them, too.
That's what I'm saying. So I think they're going to remind people of all of this. So we'll remind you that Neil's going to get over to the desk.
Got Danielle Shay.
We got Danielle Shay. So it'll be awesome to hear some of her thoughts on the earnings. And we'll see. Again, remember, she likes to say, if it doesn't outpace its earnings, then probably its expected move, then may not be a great trade. So let's keep that 10% in mind for Netflix, as that's what's implied. I like them. I think they're the best of the streaming services. Yeah. And if you're going to find a pure play, it's Netflix, right? The thing about Disney is you play Disney off of off of the streaming, and they have so much else, right? They have box office and all of that. Yeah, someone's got to clean up. There's about a row of about 15 waters over there because obviously we can't carry them back. Right there, Sharif, maybe he'll get that tomorrow morning, or he'll just add it to the pile. All right, 2 minutes left as we go. So I want to thank everybody for once again watching today. Let's just go over what Palantir's doing. Nice drop down for Palantir. We'll see if we can buy some of that tomorrow in and around $28. A big thank you to Ryan Fuhuna today. A big thank you to Plurilock as well for coming through. Do we have anybody earlier this morning? No, we did not, but we're going to thank Sharif for a great show. We're going to thank Adara for one. You're going to see Adara in a couple minutes. I want to thank Brendan, Ramin, Fabian on the ones and twos as well. As many of you know, it takes a lot to put this show on. So I want to thank everybody. And again, to Bears and Bulls. So we do now have your 2-minute warning is now on. I'm just starting to think about what drills. I got 8 of 14 players or 9 of 14 players coming through tonight for Little League practice. So I don't know, Big PI, what do you think we should do? Hitting? I think hitting's important. Hitting's a nice one there. We'll do some hitting practices. I've been lucky enough to, for some reason, one shouldn't jinx it, but the arm is still good. I can throw BP at these kids. So we'll do some of that, have maybe a little fun scrimmage. Right's hot. Actually, today was actually really nice outside. It was about 20 degrees when I came in this morning. Now just 23 degrees, so about 75 Fahrenheit here in lovely Toronto, Ontario. So, all right, let's see what happens here. One of my best stocks and the number 2 P&L name of the day is Meta. That was just basically twice and done on Meta. Let's find out where Tesla's at the end of the day. Near the lows. Man, do we love that 247, 248 level for Tesla. Let's see if that comes back tomorrow. Amazon, my reddest name. It's always nice when your reddest name is not your lowest. Like what I lost on Amazon is about half of what we made on AMD. So that's good right there. But we do wind up losing on Amazon there as well. Let's check out Meta near the end of the day. We talked about that being high. Apple still hovering around 224. That's been pretty bad from those lows for sure. Palantir, Meta, what else have we traded today? That's about it. AMD, where are we at? Right now, 155. And then we didn't get any fills on Nvidia, so we got to type it in and find out. Nvidia, yes, sir, will close near its highs of the day. So Nvidia, going to be a nice one. Let's think about going long tomorrow with only 5 seconds left. It is 4. It is 3. I don't know why. I hit that a long time ago. 2 and 1. We are now closed. So there it is. The countdown must have been a little bit slow. Netflix is already out, reporting $4.88. There goes Netflix. Netflix down to $6.20, $6.25 just hit. Now Netflix back to $6.56. The spread right now is $30 on Netflix. So watch out here. We do have that report coming in. It's in my ear. We're ready when you guys are. Netflix downside push down now. Now going back up 660. Now down 610, 611. You're just getting a wild move right now in Netflix. You're seeing a live level 2 right now. 610, 620, 618, 640 is coming through. Netflix bouncing around. Take the level 2 for what it is. It's a $30 spread. Now it's a $10 spread. Now it's 15. I remember when Sharif was doing this, I turned over and go, my guy, there's no way you will survive trading earnings plays. And this is a perfect example right there. Netflix all the way to the downside right now. Just touched $600 Netflix. Ramin, you tell me. I'm just killing time. All right, next time use the Unity if you get a chance. It's 4:01. They're ready. See you guys.
As you just heard, we'll get the numbers in a quick second, but we went right to the daily 600 level on Netflix. Just came in. You're down 7 points here. Now continuing to flush. The initial move, there was a flush that got pushed back up to 660. Somebody probably got trapped up there and had their day ruined. Well, or sorry, is having their day ruined because they're still in that position potentially. But yeah, right into the first support levels. Right in the afternoon, we're talking about a couple of things. Big obvious area at $600 of support, and then a big obvious area at $550 for another support level. Dara, what are the numbers here for Netflix?
There is so much here to digest. I apologize. It's going to be quite a few numbers here, so bear with me. The biggest thing, though, that I think is worth noting with regards to this report is their Q3 revenue outlook here. It's going to be lower than expected. $9.73 billion they're seeing for Q3 revenue. Analysts were looking for $9.82 billion. Their Q2 revenue, though, was a slight beat. 9.56 bill versus the estimated 9.53 bill. They also beat on Q2 earnings per share here, 488 versus the estimate of 474. But their Q3 outlook for revenue, though, that was a miss. Their EPS outlook higher than expected. $5.10 per share for Q3 EPS versus the estimate of $4.75. They also, for Q2 global streaming paid net additions, way higher than expected. They added 8.05 million subscribers versus the estimated 5.03 million additions. They're also looking to phase out their basic plan in the US and France and, quote, don't expect advertising to be the primary driver of revenue growth in 2024 or 2025. So some iffy sentiments with regards to their ad plan. So guys, that was a lot of numbers. Let me know if you need me to repeat anything. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, that's one of those things. Like, obviously, ad revenue is expected to eventually be a big deal for them. But if you're starting to push out when it's going to be that big deal another year away, throw in that revenue miss, I suppose, on the guidance. There's a lot that was pretty good on that, but it came right into that 600 level that we were talking about to the downside. That was always going to be the fear. No push into 550, so you can't get that dip by, but it's now held a second time off of 600 on a 3-minute chart, went right into that support level at 600, bounced once. Now it's going to get tested a third time here on Netflix, and there are some sympathy names that have gone to the downside as well. It was a pretty, look, it's a pretty red day overall. This is going to help things with Netflix going to the downside. It's the first salvo into big cap tech on the earnings. Maybe not as big as they used to be, but believe me, this isn't a good start. The good news for Netflix, I would say, is it's done much worse than this on earnings before. We've seen 20, 25, 30% to the downside. I remember when Netflix and Meta were both doing this, and this is not nearly as bad yet. It's only 5 points. You still have to see tomorrow's reaction. Can it hang on to that 600 level? Everyone's going to digest it. There was some good points in that. The EPS beats, the good guide on the EPS. So there were some positives, the net adds that you were talking about there, Adair. So it's not as if it's all bad, and it's not a double-digit loss either. So I think, all in all, not the end of the world over here for Netflix, but it doesn't help when you already had this rotation coming out of names like this.
Yeah, I think definitely the biggest issue here from what I could tell from an investor standpoint would be, I guess, these concerns with advertising being the primary growth driver, given how much that was pushed earlier and how excited the market would get when they would introduce these new ad-related statistics. But I mean, that Q, like, they did beat on EPS and revenue for Q2, to be clear. The Q3 guidance, though, for revenue was a miss. So not necessarily great. Look, we know they gapped down in their last report as well. So 2 gaps down in a row for NFLX. Not necessarily a great sign, especially as we have a whole slew of tech earnings coming over the next 2 weeks.
And over here, Plug is getting unplugged. Unfortunately, or like somebody pulled the plug. There's a lot of puns you can use for this. Down 10% in the aftermarket. Looks like, I've seen people in the chat say that it's an offering. Yeah, with a company like Plug, that's a pretty safe bet when you see a candle like this to the downside. So you get a little bit of action aftermarket with Netflix. You get more for a beaten up name. So Plug down through the 50 period here was never a good looking chart. What do we have going on here, Adara?
Plug announcing the proposed offering of common stock, looking to start a $200 million public offering here. Guys, they also have a short float of 27.6%. Pretty small market cap as well, $2.27 billion. So Plug, pretty big short float here, announcing a $200 million public stock offering.
$200 million offering. Okay, so that's like 1/10 the valuation, and then it goes down. It's down 11% right now. So you would suspect, you know, there's going to be a lot of people that are looking for this. If it's down way more than 10%, it'll be SSR, and then maybe that outstrips the amount that they're potentially down the line going to be devaluing the stock. You might be able to catch some kind of a rubber band or SSR bounce on this tomorrow, but you got to let these things settle down. A lot of times you're going to get, when you have an offering, it's going to go right down, kind of find an equilibrium, and then hold on. There's not a lot to digest. This isn't some earnings report that they have to read through. It's going to make the adjustment, then it's going to settle. We'll see where it trades in there tomorrow. So obviously, Plug Power, add that to Netflix, which, by the way, hey, there's your 600 level, held once, held twice, right back into 630. And this is exactly why we were going over this in the afternoon show. I mean, 600 is not a very difficult level to find. Once, twice, thrice, it was a big support. When it broke, it ran away from it. When it consolidated above, it ran away from it in either direction. That's what makes the key level, and that's where you get the nice bounce. Now trading 633, only down 2.5 points here, which I would say is pretty impressive, all things considered there, Adara. But I wanted to talk a bit, when we talk about the sectors that were moving, yesterday, it was a weekday for the market. Everyone's seen what the Qs have done the last couple of days. You know, we can start with that. We can talk about what's happened with the semis. The Qs down a couple of days in a row, not looking very good at all. But today, there were a lot of people surprised to find, you know, like you have consumer discretionary, which was looking pretty good. XLY pulling back a second day. Now, you had names which were flying. I mean, we can talk about the financials in a broad sense, but I almost want to look at exactly what happened. And we did this in the midday. We did this in the afternoon. I want to look at what happened with Goldman Sachs. You had Goldman Sachs pulling back big time. You've got XBI down 2.3%. The biotechs pulling back after pressing back into some highs. A lot of these things that were running so strongly outside of tech that had good days yesterday, potentially, or good days going into yesterday, and weren't part of any of the pullback that happened in tech, now they're starting to get back. There's profit taking happening. I mean, it happened in XBI. We've already talked about this a little bit with the IWM. So the Russell as well in the midst of a pullback. Now, we mentioned this with Ryan Fuhuna. Some of these stocks come back into support levels, could be good for a bounce play, right? They're all trending to the upside. I think you got to still put them in a different category. Should not be a surprise for anybody. Jets was under pressure. We had some airline earnings as well, which was a bit of a mixed bag. They're down 2.5%. It's not so much that we had a red day. It's the things that were strong to the downside that maybe surprised some people. The financials, people were very surprised. We got a lot of questions about why the heck is biotech down? Why is the XBI down when it's been rallying so much? Eli Lilly got punked today. Eli Lilly, anytime you're looking at XBY, Eli Lilly is just everything right now. It is what it is. And this is what the Eli Lilly chart looks like. If you think Netflix is having a bad afternoon, Lilly was down at 1.8%. And look at the strong upward trend on the daily chart. You don't see down moves like that. And it's not even earnings, right? The Roche news, again, if there's going to be an oral drug competition, that is not good for Eli Lilly. And that's been top heavy stock for quite some time here at Era.
Yeah, and we'd also in that space too, we have Abbott Laboratories releasing their earnings. They gap down in earnings. Another name that to keep an eye on is we have ISRG, Intuitive Surgical. I put these numbers in the chat, but this is a massive beat across the board. 14% increase here for revenue, $2 billion versus the estimated $1.972 billion. So massive revenue beat there. They also crushed EPS here as well, $1.78 per share versus the estimates of $1.54 per share here. Beat across the board. Also with pronouncing their view for the next quarter as well, but I'm not seeing compared to estimates for that. But yet, EPS beat, revenue beat massive for both, 14% year-over-year revenue increase as well for ISRG. I did put those numbers in the chat too if you missed them.
Thank you very much, Adair. And that's an 8% move to the upside. Now, look, Intuitive is going to only be up to 2.8%, but keep in mind, like a lot of other things, it gave a lot up today. So you're rallying from the lows. That percent on the day is always going to be deceiving. It's like, what's the actual move from where we came from? It's been down a couple of days, so you can see the downward trend, and that's an 8% move into 440 for Intuitive Surgical. Maybe not a normal day trade stock. I don't think there's a lot of people that will be clamoring to day trade it, but dips right into the 50 period, gets a good print. Not really going to break it out because everything in the space has gotten absolutely punked today, and now you're going to run into that resistance. It's going to be tricky. Very tricky, even with a good report, for a stock like that to get through that high, and still holding up pretty well here. I know Netflix is the daddy, holding up pretty well. Another higher low just got put in on the 3-minute. You're still rejecting the breakdown price of 640. And for anyone that trades after, like, it was a clear downward move on Netflix, but trust me, there are people that probably got trapped long this above 650 if you're trying to momentum trade, and then had to stop out at 640. But 640 turning into serious resistance. We chart the levels, get ready for tomorrow. Clearly 600 is going to be a big deal. 640 looks like one. Although my memory, which is pretty good when it comes to trading post-earnings on names that we don't often trade, Netflix has a tendency the day after earnings to not be the best opening trade. More boring than you expect, and then just wait for the afternoon, or maybe wait for a consolidation and then a play the following day. So usually I'm trying to wait and be patient with Netflix, not expect a whole lot at that 9:30. I know we're going to have Danielle Shay at some point, but I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the trades today if we could. We did the sector recap. I don't know if we'll get the trade review. I have a tendency to want to just let the guest give the goods because you hear us all day long. I think that's the right way to go. And a lot of times we don't get to a trade review if we don't do it early, and we had some earnings today. Netflix starting to pull back in. But I was surprised. I said to Sean when he came in, I'd be surprised if yesterday was as good of a day of trading for me. I ended up pretty much making exactly what I made yesterday, thinking it wouldn't be as good. The morning was about half as good, and then the afternoon was just like everything just work, and then it was a pretty solid day. How was your day of trading? Because there's so many opportunities out there, you had to pick and choose.
Yeah, it was really fun. I did enjoy SOXL. I was really proud of what I did with SOXL. I lost in my first trade of SOXL. I hadn't spent long enough looking at the levels. So I was like, fine, whatever. If you see more stuff you like on it, come back to it. I believe it ended up being my best name of the day. Maybe that and TSM, because I did have a TSM short. Basically, I think my strategy, because I've noticed sometimes I have the best days, not even P&L wise, because like I said, I've been hiding my P&L, but just in terms of the strategy, when I let myself focus on multiple names, because I find if I get really locked into one name, I tend to not, notice other opportunities. So I did a little bit of Nvidia, a little bit, like a lot of chip names. I did the SPY as well, though. Probably my favorite trade was taking the long, so we got that 554, sold off, then we approached that 554 again, running up into that. I was taking that as a long. So I would take a piece. I think I started getting in around 553.50s. I got in, would get out, we come back, add, get out. I didn't end up staying beyond the 554 just because for my style, I did not like what I was seeing in the book when we were not able to get back to that 554. And B, I know I would have panic sold had I held it. So I just said, Adair, I take it out at 554. Really happy with how that trade went. And yeah, I mean,
that's about the only trade you could have long on it.
It's a fun one, yeah.
Today, I'm dead serious. Like, let's go to the chart here for a quick little second because it's important, right? If we're going over that trade, you see our trades all day long. I mean, if you look at this, I got to assume it's like right in here, right about 12:30 to 1 o'clock. You made that clear downward channel. It finally finds a level of support, which it had not done. You have little small levels of support in a 3-minute, that's 10 minutes long. But here, you find a long consolidation, 553.5, with most of the bodies here a little bit higher, and then you get a press up. It ultimately does fail and head back down. But if you're scalping long, it's about the only place that it was safe to do so. But I wanted to, you mentioned SOXL.
Yes, that was fun.
SOXL, this W pattern here. And look, I'm not a chartered market technician, but if you can't tell this, I'm more interested when I see something like this of support, support, resistance, resistance, resistance. That is the low-hanging fruit of technical analysis. I don't care what if you want the most simplistic concept of this stock just broke a level that everyone was watching, and now I think it's trending in the other way, but I have no idea where to get it on the back end. Well, if it so happens to reject the previous support level, short it there. It shows you the wick, shows you a top, short here, stop there, short here, stop there. Now, ultimately, you take it the third time, you get wicked out, so be it. You go 2 for 3. Those are both big opportunities and big win trades that you can have. Before we get to it, I just wanted to last double check. Still holding some of those highs. Netflix, higher lows, I should say, still down 3% overall. But I have an idea that someone might be interested in talking some Netflix as well. Welcome, Danielle Shay, of course, one of our favorite guests, and no better time to talk to you, Trader Danielle, than during earnings season, which I know it starts with the banks, but for a lot of us, it really starts when we get Netflix and big cap tech. So first of all, how is everything going? Are you enjoying the summer? I know it's busy when you have kids. Obviously, with another along the way, congratulations again, by the way. But how has your day been? How has your week been?
Thank you. It's good to be back. I haven't been able to do the show as much as normal because summertime, kids, camp, picking cherries, all that kind of stuff. But I miss all of you guys, and I'll be here as much as possible. It's been great. It's been beautiful and sunny. Nice. And I'm looking forward to this earnings season.
That's what it's all about. I love cherries, by the way. We had cherries in our salad today, which is a weird thing to put in a salad. I don't put cherries in the salad. I just eat them out of a basket like a normal person would. Well, I mean, Fabian's laughing at me, but like cherries have a pit in it. So why would you eat that with a salad? It doesn't even make any logical sense. But that aside, the camp that your kids are at, any special camp? Like, is it a themed camp or just like a regular, like summer camp that we all went to when we were kids?
Oh, yeah. We do different ones every week. So far we did a flag football camp. We had a basketball camp. We did a horse camp one week. And so, it's just taxi driver mom these days, There's no better life than being involved like that. Horse riding, that's pretty cool there. So let's get to brass tacks here for a second. Because Netflix, I feel like, I know it's down, and there was some concern it would go to the downside here. Both Sean and I were saying that. Yet, we're only down 3%. So obviously, it wasn't that big of an extended move. We're coming from, back in the day, I say back in the day, like the last couple of years, where sometimes down on Netflix would mean 15, 20% on earnings and a big kind of a shock. So what's your look here
when effectively we don't have that big of a move at all.
Looking at Netflix, I'm a little bummed about the downside move, especially considering that, Netflix has been in a very nice bullish pattern. I mean, for the most part, they do typically trade higher after earnings. Yes, last quarter they did trade lower, but that was after they had announced that they weren't going to publicly publish their subscriber numbers. So that was a little bit funky, even though they had really good numbers. So this quarter, I completely agree with you. It's abnormal for them to stay within the expected move. The expected move was $48. And so right now, we have Netflix trading down at $6.24. So, you're only down about 20 bucks or so. With this chart, here's the thing is that I was looking for a trade into 700. I think we can still get it. Doesn't look as good as it would look if it was up, right? But when you look at Netflix, you're right at the 50 simple in the daily chart. Now with the earnings move, you're going to be a little bit lower down at the 100 simple, but we do have consolidation on that daily chart. We do still have a bullish trend. I think that as long as it holds 625, and the Nasdaq holds the 50 simple, we should be able to buy tech, but I think it's a little bit dicey just because the move is a little bit lackluster. I will say that it's certainly better than it could be, because if it was down the expected move or more, then that would absolutely be a Nasdaq sell signal. And we're not really seeing that because the Nasdaq is holding support at the 50 simple on the daily chart.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, again, you'll like to look for silver linings, right? Like, you're not going to be happy stock that a lot of us own is going to be to the downside, but I think we can all remember when a bad report for Netflix meant taking not just double digits off, but I mean like a couple of dozens, and that's always going to be nasty. But I agree with you there wholeheartedly. It might be a little bit ho-hum, which is absolutely fine. And I say this all the time when we have you on, Danielle, and everyone should pay attention to this. Oftentimes, it's earnings, everyone's excited. If it's not big or the A+, that's okay. The worst thing that you can have happen is just someone tell you this is going to be the biggest thing ever and the biggest opportunity when they don't believe it and it's utter nonsense. So I always appreciate you giving us the real goods, because sometimes you get the big moves and the bangers, like the way Tesla's moved recently or Apple, and other times it maybe doesn't look as good. And it does make sense to maybe dial things back a bit. So speaking of in the range of earnings, because at least for now, I mean, a lot can happen on Netflix. Maybe it does move a little bit more in the aftermarket. We had TSM this morning. They reported, and they're flat right now. Looking at this aftermarket, there was already that push down that a lot of the chip names have been having. Of course, you've got all this geopolitical tension going on with regards to Taiwan, with regards to protectionism when it comes to chips. So it has a lot of things going on with it, but kind of stayed inside of its range and inside of its pack. And this one, I know you like the 50 simple. I mean, that's kind of exactly where this thing bounced from. What's your take on TSM? I know it's a popular name with our traders.
So with TSM, it was really a unique situation yesterday where we got all of that political commentary right before the earnings report, right? And so before the earnings report, it was already down 7%. And the expected move over earnings was only about 6%. So what I ended up doing with this is I just went ahead and sold the premium in the options market for the earnings report. And I was betting on the move being less than expected because it had already moved due to the comments that were made earlier in the day. So that's definitely, it's not something you could do now, but it's something that it's a strategy you could use on a different stock. If you see that a stock has earnings upcoming and then it has a big move, the day before or the day of earnings, then a lot of the times when the report comes out, you don't see as much volatility. So it can be great for a volatility crush trade in the options market. So that's what I did with Taiwan Semiconductors. I already got in and I got out. But at this point, I mean, I think it's a great company. I think it's a great stock. I really like stocks down at the 50 simple on the daily chart, especially for long-term investments. I have been telling our traders, if the rhetoric is going to pick up again with the semiconductors, with President Trump and Taiwan, we definitely have to be cautious of that, because if you go back and look at 2018 and 2019, you saw the entire semiconductor sector just basically trade flat over a long term, but there was a lot of volatility, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't think it'll be the exact same as it was then, because now, we have the AI revolution and things are a little bit different, and these companies are doing extremely well. And I think that Taiwan Semi had a great earnings report. But I do think that traders should be aware of the upcoming volatility due to the political rhetoric that is starting again.
Well, I love that you just actually, for everyone paying attention, which you better all be paying attention, everybody just got a trade idea that maybe you don't realize. So basically every massive event, now you don't know the political rhetoric is going to come out in front of the earnings of TSM, but we tend to have earnings when the Fed makes a decision. There's always going to be, like, maybe you get big CPI number. Well, who's reporting a day after that? So if you've already put in a massive move in reaction to something big, the next day you've just heard a potential idea for a trade, which paid off in the case of TSM. It doesn't have to be exactly the same thing. It doesn't have to be some political mess and they report the next day. They just have to make the move that you're expecting on earnings the day before, if I'm not mistaken. Danielle.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I look for that all throughout earnings season. If you notice any company, like, it could be whatever, that already has a big move before the report, it's like, yes, this is a great one to sell the volatility on.
Sean put on his Palantir hat the day before earnings. It went up 8%. The expected move was already 8, and you put the trade on. Now, not that that's exactly how it works, although stranger things have happened. I was going to ask you about, like, big cap tech in general as well, especially because next week we get all the big earnings names. But we always get questions about Nvidia when we have you on. So, like, Nvidia, if we're going to be talking about things like the 50-period moving average and support and key price levels, I mean, clearly anybody can see where Nvidia is at matters. That 117 level has been a big one. Now you have the 50 simple moving right into it. It's like, this is the dip support for Nvidia. I'm not saying it looks as strong as, like, when it bounced off this the last couple of times, it bounced pretty definitively within a couple of days. And we don't get the report for a while. Like, Nvidia is always late when it comes to earnings. They're at the end of August. So what's your take on Nvidia specifically here?
I think Nvidia looks great. I think Nvidia and Broadcom both. I mean, one of the main reasons why I like buying stocks at the 50 simple is because you're so close to where your stop loss needs to be. If you buy them up at the 21 EMA, you might have to sit through a pullback all the way down to the 50, and then it will go higher after that. So, that can be a pain. But the reason why I like the 50 simple is because you're just so close to that stop point. So if and when you're wrong, typically the stock breaks down below that level and you generally see high volume selling, and you can usually get out pretty quickly. So I like it for that reason. But I also just really like this chart because we have a variety of setups here. So first of all, we have a Fibonacci pattern. I'm sure you could ask Trader Tammy about it because she's amazing. And, she does Fibonacci. So we have this 2-step pattern right here, which is a buy pattern that gives you support at 113. It's already, bounced at the 50 simple. You also have the squeeze here. I love trading the squeeze. Anytime you have a ticker that's in consolidation, I mean, it's just basically building up energy so that it can take the next leg. Now, the thing that people always say to me is, well, how do you know if it's going to break out to the upside or downside? You can't ever know for sure, but generally what you're going to do is you're just going to follow the trend. So the majority of the time, stocks are going to break out in the direction of the trend. The trend here is up. We have 2 breakaway gaps in a row. We have earnings coming up at the end of August. We're going to be entering the pre-earnings time frame. Let me see when the date is on that. That's going to be July 30th. So when I have, 2 breakaway gaps in a row, I have a bullish trend, I have a stock at the 50 simple, I have a Fibonacci pattern, I have consolidation, I have earnings. That's pretty much everything that I need. Now, could it still fail? Yeah, of course it can fail. You never know what can happen, but I love the setup. I think it looks great. And for that reason, I have been, targeting an entry point on this, and I want to trade it back to 140 and then up to 150.
That's all you can do. You get the setup, get your chips in good. If you play poker, when you got a good hand and the expectancy is there, you get it in. That support level looks fantastic on Nvidia. Thank you everybody for that. Danielle, tell everybody where they can find you. And if you have anybody in the chat, if you have questions for Danielle that we don't get to, symbols, you can always find her on the Twitter machine or on X, as like we're supposed to say, and on your YouTube channel. And we can always get them in advance and ask you the questions. But anything, tell everyone where they can find you first off. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. So you can find me on X at Trader Danielle or on YouTube at Trader Danielle. I'm pretty responsive on X. I haven't been posting as much as normal. Like I said, it's been a little bit crazy this summer for me so far, but now that we're into earnings season, I am back and, ready to be in action.
Exactly, and the action looks good in Nvidia, as you said. We'll check back in. They don't report till the end of the month, but they've got action every single day. Always a good trade. Thank you so much, Danielle Shay, Trader Danielle, one of our best friends on the show. Best of luck in all of your trades, and best of luck with the traffic to and from camp. I know how that can be when you've got the kids back and forth. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle.
And the other thing that Danielle does is cause a bounce in Netflix. See, she talks positively about Netflix. Netflix now puts in a higher low, so still down 2.5 points, but 620 held into 630 in there. Good day overall in trading terms, but now you're leading off earnings with a down day. But as Danielle said, the expected move was twice this, or now almost 3 times this move, and all you've got is 2.5 points to the downside. So I think that's not the end of the world. But you know what it is? It's always a smile on everybody's face when we get right to the end and then Adara can show off her roll call skills. So everybody in the chat, dropping the thanks to Danielle. I'm going to drop my thanks to Danielle Shay as well while we get our roll call on with Adara.
Yeah, I mean, that Netflix was crazy. Just to clarify as well, though, one of the bigger numbers, they did add 8.05 million paid net additional subscribers compared to the estimate of 5.03 million. Netflix, that could be one thing to balance it. 3 million subscribers higher than expected for those additions. Let's get going, though. Thank you to Danielle Shay for being here. So great to have you every single Thursday, or mostly every Thursday. Thank you so much to Bears vs. Bulls for everything you do. Bears and Bulls were nibbling at Tesla. They put that one in their watch list, eating their popcorn, so shout out to you as well. Kadim, we have Hans Beer, we have Bristol, we've got Danielle Shay here again, we have Neo Roberts, we have Timon, we have Marie L, we have Michael, Dr. Strange, Pineapple Undies, Mahishu Watkins, Donkey Trader, Hans Beer again, BGZ, On Your Og, we've got Fat Figo, we have Around and Find Out. We have Dr. Strange, we have TH, we've got Jason, we have Michael Lopez, Noah, we've got Miguel, we have Bristol, we have Smooth One J, we've got Tipo Master, Pineapple Eddie's in here, Good Rogue Yogi, Alex Diaz, Bears versus Bulls, Daniel, Eli 7721. I'm also going to shout out here Fabian, because he's here and he's not in the roll call, but he is in spirit, so shout out to him. We've got Psychology Motivation, Blue Arrow, Brave Scorpy, Dr. Strange, Lasmel. We have Rivian Millionaire. We have Eli 7721 again in here. We've got Bears versus Bulls. Yeah, for round, got to do what I got to do here. The Piper, Charuz. We have M1K3, Jay Sons. We have Daniel Shane here again, Jeremy Newman, Licanoli. I love that one. Live, Love, Sale, Jeff, Darwin, Robert Liu, Fat Figa. What a day, guys.
And you know what? I saw the one that tripped you up, but hey, if you fight the trend, you're trying to mess around and find out. I'm not going to say it because you know what's up. And Tipo Master said, check out my super chat. So before we get out of here, I made a comment, and I don't remember. I said something about my height. I think I was making a basketball reference. And he said, we got to reclaim this, bro. 5'10" is above average. Is it? I thought it's literally exactly average. And I make the quib about my height. My brother's 6'3", and a bunch of my cousins are 6'4", 6'5". I am the short dude in the family. Although I'm going to throw this around. I was the one dunking in high school, not my brother who was 6'3". But that's neither here nor there. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for all of the support. We love you guys so much. And we have so much fun doing the show. Trading can be a lonely business. Obviously, you're sitting at your desk and you're focused on what you can do. So we try to make it a little bit fun, give you some ideas, have fantastic guests like Danielle Shay that you can get your learn on with. So, hey, we're going to wrap up the week. Tomorrow is a big one. We got post-Netflix earnings. We've got Walgreens getting the boot out of the Nasdaq 100. I'm saving it for this moment. And then we have SMCI going into the Nasdaq 100. A lot to cover. It's going to be a banger end of the week. We'll see you bright and early, 8:30 tomorrow morning, Trader TV Live. For Adara, for myself, for Fabian on the ones and twos and the entire team. Ciao. See you in the morning.
Bye. Yo, that made me so happy, that pun.